Chapter 81. Mystery in the Lingsao Garden. When he came to the alchemy furnace, Yi Chen took a deep breath, and offered the real fire and poured it into the alchemy furnace. Shu Fu also followed and lay on the chair. Although he was in a fake state, he was always paying attention to Yi Chen. Soon, Yi Chen's alchemy broke out, and the spirit grass that was thrown in was burned clean. Helplessly shook his head, he continued again. All day long alchemy. He used all the remaining spirit grass, but only 3 Weishuanden was refined. This kid's progress is also quick. Shu Fu, lying on the chair, secretly marveled at Yi Chen's talent. In the same year, he used more than 90 spirit grasses to reconstitute Weishuan for the first time, more than twice as much as Yi Chen, and he used more than 80 spirit grasses to regenerate Weishuan the second time, and Yi Chen only used a dozen copies. Such a terrifying alchemy talent, Dan Chen, you will be shocked in the future. Shu Fu murmured. His exhaustion caused Yi Chen to collapse under the alchemy furnace, panting heavily. 3. Hey, holding 3 of them back to Xuanden, he was happy. He didn't expect to go to the sky in one step, but he was making progress every day. Did you feel the change of soul power? The voice sounded, and Shu Fu had come slowly. Yi Chen nodded happily. I found that my soul power was faintly stronger as I continued to refine the alchemy, and my mood was much clearer. It looks like your kid isn't stupid. Elder Shu, do you have an elixir that nourishes the soul? Yi Chen grinned as he rubbed his hands. I have, that's mine. You want to do it yourself. I don't have Danfang. Yi Chen looked at Shu Fu with clear eyes. Shu Fu glanced at Yi Chen angrily, took out a scroll from his arms and handed it to Yi Chen. Yi Chen hurriedly took it. After looking around, he noticed that the elixir called Soldan is also a kind of elixir, but from a description point of view, the rank seems to be higher than that of Weishuanden, and the method of refining is extremely complicated. Dan Fang, I show you, don't pass it on. Shu Fu cautioned Yi Chen. Dan Fang is very important to our alchemist, don't take it seriously. Understand. Yi Chen replied casually, looking down at Dan Fang. Look slowly. Shu Fu got up and walked towards the inner hall, leaving a token before leaving. What spiritual grass is missing? Take my token to the Lingsao garden to pick. Are there any good things? Holding Chen's token, Yi Chen's eyes became bright. This is a pass. That night, he came to Lingsao garden with a token. Coming back to Lingsao garden again, he feels quite optimistic. Since he has a token in hand, he is not polite. Yiru came for the first time. Soon after he walked into the Lingsao garden, he heard the woman's coquettish sound coming from that small attic. Yi Chen coughed, and touched the tip of his nose, as if the woman was crying. The sound of the bed could not help reminding him of the spring beauty in the forest of monsters that night, and the sound seemed to reverberate in his ears at the moment, making him happy. Withdrawing his thoughts, he coughed. Suddenly, there was a panic-sounding voice in the attic, hurry up and get dressed. Soon, the male disciple named Li San stepped out, not even tied his clothes. Is there something wrong? Li San asked, pretentiously. Elder Shu asked me to pick the spirit grass. Yi Chen said, showing Shu Fu's token. Oh, huh. After seeing Elder Shu's token, Li San changed instantly, his face flattered, as if looking at the token, as if looking at Shu Fu himself. You keep busy. Yi Chen was too lazy to waste time with him, holding the token, and went straight in. In the eyes, you can see that there is an acre of spirit grass, each lingering with aura, fighting for freshness. Without delay, he took out the Danfang of Weishuan Dan and Soul Dan, and began to pick the elixir required for refining. Different from last time, this time he was quite confident, opened the storage bag. Just like harvesting, people walked past, all behind were bare, the whole behavior of a robber. While walking, Danhai's real fire trembled. I forgot about it. Yi Chen got up in a hurry and looked in one direction. The first time, the real fire trembled, proving that there is a baby in this Lingsao garden, but because the last time was tight, he didn't have time to check. This time he came over with the token, and he naturally explored it. Giving up picking spirit grass for a while, he walked in one direction. He didn't stop until he came to the deep corner of Lingsao garden, because there was no way to go in front, it was a bottomless cliff. Frowning slightly, he glanced down. At this look, he hurriedly retracted his eyes, and the cliff was not bottomed out. Rao was a glance at him, he felt a feeling of being engulfed, and he couldn't fly away from the air. It should be just below. Muttered, Yi Chen looked around. This is already the edge of Hengyu Zongling Mountain. Even if it is a spiritual realm, it is difficult to fly up the cliff, not to mention that there is a prohibition here, and the enemy's people will not be stupid enough to steal in from here. What's going on below? Yi Chen felt his chin and threw a stone down. Just a full quarter of an hour later, he heard no response. Hum. Real fire began to tremble violently again at this moment. It's no use moving you anymore, I can't go down. Yi Chen helplessly spread his hands. You have to go down, you go down by yourself. Unexpectedly, the real fire of his Danhai actually came out, like a golden light went down. You really go on. Yi Chen was unresponsive, but Junha had disappeared into his sight. In desperation, he lay on the cliff mouth and looked down, but all he could see was the misty clouds, not to mention his true fire figure. After a long time, no real fire ran up. Get off. Yi Chen seemed to have heard such a voice. I wonder if it came down from the cliff, or passed down from nothingness, or he heard it wrong. Soon, a bit of gold flashed below. Come back. Yi Chen's eyes lit up. The real fire came back, and then rushed into Yi Chen's Danhai. This time it turned out to be good, hiding in Yi Chen's sea slumped, and it looked like he was not pulling a little. It still trembled from time to time, but instead of finding the baby's tremor, it was trembling in fear. What's going on below? Yi Chen looked at his real fire for the first time. He was the first time he saw his real fire so much. However, his true fire is intelligent, but he cannot speak. Even if he finds something under the cliff, he cannot tell Yi Chen. Yi Chen felt helpless, and finally glanced at the cliff before turning around and leaving. Carrying the storage bag, he picked it again, until the storage bag was full, before humming Xiaochu out of the Lingsao garden. After he left, there was an elusive big eye on the cliff deep in the Lingsao garden. It was only very soon that the elusive eyes disappeared. Chapter 82, Test. Back to Lingtan Pavilion is almost dawn. Armed with a swollen storage bag, Yi Chen sat under the alchemy furnace and began to enlighten the medicine prescription of the soul. The sky was bright, and Shu Fu, dressed in a damask robe, came out of it. Elder Shu. Seeing Shu Fu coming out, Yi Chen hurried forward and rubbed his hands. He smiled. When will you show me how to make soul spirit? You picked so much spirit grass, you think about it. Yi Chen's mouth twitched, feeling that those spirit grasses are not yours. Lao Su figured it out. God knows how much spirit grass to waste, and how many detours he has to take. I'll go to the inner door and wait for me to come back. Here, Shu Fu has flicked his sleeves and walked out elegantly. After Shu Fu left, Yi Chen cursed. However, he still received Dan Fang, and after condensing his meditation, his real fire broke into the alchemy furnace, but the soul was not the soul Dan, but still the Zon Dan. Alchemy. Because there have been 4 examples of successfully refining Weishuanden before, his technique has become more proficient, and the number of failures has also decreased. Shu Fu walked all day long, and did not return until night was about to fall. During this period, Yi Chen has refined 3 Weishuandens. Although the quality is not very high, they have also made great progress. Ning. As Yi Chen drank softly, the 4th Weishuanden was about to be refined. However, Shu was a little irritable, and he had some deviations from the control of the real fire, which made the upcoming Ning Dan's successful return to Xuanden burst. Then came the buzz of the alchemy furnace, and the dull explosion sound came from inside. Wow! Yi Chen was shocked and kicked back, and her head was buzzing and tingling. Shu was so quiet here that she shocked Chi Yu, who hurried from the side hall. What are you doing? Chi Yu stepped forward, and Chi Yu slammed. In addition, Shu Fu had to match her and Yi Chen's sullenness, so that her voice was still a little cold, and looking at Yi Chen's eyes, there was a little anger. I didn't do anything, I warned you, you're here to do miscellaneous, don't touch things randomly. Chi Yu said coldly. As soon as this word came out, Yi Chen froze for a while. Shu Fu did not tell Chi Yu the true purpose of his coming here, so that Chi Yu now always thought that he was really a juggling disciple. Without saying anything, he got up from the ground, too lazy to explain. Okay. Unable to check, Chi Yu glanced at a cyan token hanging from Yi Chen's waist. There was also a word, Dan, on the token. As the first apprentice of Lingtan Pavilion, she recognized it at a glance. Shu Fu's token. Where did the token come from? Chi Yu chuckled glaringly at Yi Chen. Elder Shu gave it. Lying. Chi Yueshang sacrificed the spirit sword and placed it on Yi Chen's shoulder. Master's token never leaves, even if it is me, he will not easily deliver it, he will give you a mess. Quote. Hearing this, Yi Chen rubbed his eyebrows subconsciously. Say it was stolen from Master. Chi Yu's spirit sword pointed directly at Yi Chen's throat. Yuer. At this moment, a deep voice came from outside, and Shu Fu, who had gone to the inner door, returned. Master. Chi Yu hurriedly collected the sword, first bowed a hand, and then glanced at Yi Chen behind him. He sneaked by the alchemy furnace and stole your token. What a sneaky. I'm pretty good, okay. You quibble less, I see it. All right, Shu Fu muttered again, looking at his apprentice Chi Yu. I gave him the token. Master, why are you? I asked him to take my token to the Lingsao garden to pick up the Lingsao. As for him, he didn't come here to do miscellaneous work, but to help me refining alchemy. He was an alchemist. Refining. Alchemy master. As Yi Chen guessed, Chi Yu's eyes were full of wonder, and it wasn't until then that he knew that Yi Chen wasn't here to make miscellaneous things, but to make alchemy. Chi Yu's face did not know how to describe it, glanced at Shu Fu, and then looked up and down Yi Chen. All right, although Lingdan Pavilion is not very small, it is not too big. Yi Chen is here to practice Dan. She didn't even know that the moment she saw Yi Chen, she always thought that Yi Chen was a mischievous disciple. At this moment, she understands why Shu Fu wants to match her with Yi Chen. The alchemist, with a distinguished status, is an object that all parties are trying to attract. Although he is not high at this time, he is still young and not more than a few decades old. He is definitely one of the few people in Dachu. Elder, your token. Here, Yi Chen had given Shu Fu the token, and then rubbed his hands again. He laughed. When will you show me the refining of Soul Dan? Shu Fu raised an eyebrow, frowned his beard, and laughed. It's not impossible to show you, but only if you pass my test. Test. Yi Chen looked at Shu Fu stupidly for a moment. Beat my apprentice, Shu Fu said, and glanced at Chi Yu beside him. After hearing the words, Chi Yu Chao Chao's eyebrows frowned. Her eyes were full of incomprehensibility, but she had already stepped into the real sun with 1 foot, and she could only count one of her disciples outside, let alone a condensed spirit. She faintly felt that Shu Fu was making things difficult for Yi Chen. For Yi Chen, such a test would never pass. Elders take this seriously. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen's eyes became bright and clear. Really? Okay. Yi Chen immediately withdrew to go 4 or 5 feet, and then twisted his body, and the blood in his body quickly flowed along with it. He had not yet fought, and he was boiling with blood. Sister Qi, please. Stretching his body, Yi Chenshuan took out the Qishao sword. Master. Qi Yu frowned slightly at Shu Fu. Shu Fu shook his beard softly and smiled very deeply. Although he didn't say anything on his mouth, he had secretly transmitted a message to Qi Yu. Yuer, don't look down on him. Alchemy masters are not good at fighting. Besides, it is just a state of condensed spirit. Master, you may be overestimating him. Although Qi Yu did not speak, the flowing eyes in that beautiful eye represented everything. She also stepped back 4 or 5 feet, stood slightly, looked at Yi Chen opposite, and then stood up 3 jade fingers, indifferently. 3 moves, if you are undefeated within 3 moves, even if I lose. My sister is so confident. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Because I have that strength. Qi Yu's voice remained indifferent. The words did not end. She had quickly and skillfully moved Yin Ju. Suddenly, with Qiu as the center, a blessed wind formed. The wind condensed into flowers, and then white snow flew, condensing into leaves. Wind and snow intertwined, flowers and leaves scattered, and the halo lingering. It's gorgeous. Opposite, Yi Chen's eyes narrowed. With his eyesight, he naturally saw the extraordinariness of Qiu's secret method. Fenghua Shui. Opposite, the sound of Tianrui sounded, Qi Yu's jade hand already pointed at Yi Chen. Soon, the mysterious mystery of wind, flowers, snow and leaves greeted. Yi Chen immediately waved the Qishao sword to defend it with the comprehend Tianjian sword array. LB. Although the Fenghua Shui was gentle, it was extremely powerful. When it touched the Qishao sword, it even sparked. This mystery is truly extraordinary. Yi Chen extremely moved the Qishao sword. Chapter 83. Win. It's stabbing. But Rao is so, every wind flower, every snow leaf strikes, can split his robe. Fenghua Shui, I did not expect you to have used this secret technique so skillfully. Shu Fu, who stood on the stone steps watching the battle, smiled and shrugged his beard, as if he was satisfied with his apprentice. Withdrawing his eyes from Qi Yu, he looked at Yi Chen. Qi Yu's wind flowers and snow leaves are extremely mysterious, which has made Yi Chen tired of coping, even embarrassed. It's all young and vigorous, and frustrating each other. Shu Fu murmured. This mystery is really weird. Yi Chen sometimes evades, sometimes defends, but is still defended by the Fenghua Shui, and he breaks one piece, there is still behind, like the endless fight. However, if you want to defeat me with this secret method, you are too underestimated. Yi Chen. With a sneer, Yi Chen's body made a gorgeous maneuver, wielding a sword to break the incoming Fenghua Shui. Ben Qiu came. Seeing this, Qi Yu immediately waved the jade arm, and the scattered Fenghua Shui would trap Yi Chen inside again. However, she did look down on Yi Chen. Yi Chen's body became strange for an instant. He stepped on Shu Ying's mysterious footwork, and the shadows continued behind him. The surrounding flowers and snow leaves obviously failed to keep up with his rhythm. Good mysterious figure. Not only Qi Yu, but even Shu Fu showed his surprise. Sister, it's my turn. Every effort was made to rush to the front of Qi Yu, and Yi Chen's long-awaited Ben Lei palm shot suddenly. Faced with a domineering palm wind, Qi Yu Chaomei frowned again. From this palm wind, she clearly felt the powerful attacking power contained, and it was not a strength that Ningqi should have. Although surprised, Qi Yu still waved the jade arm, and there was an aura of light flying between the jade hands. Boom! Two palms confronted with a roar. Looking at the two, Yi Chen was taken a step back, and Qi Yu was taken a step back. With a single sorrow, there is no difference between up and down. What a freak he is! Qi Yuemei's eyes were full of surprise, and now she realized that Shu Fu's words were not targeted. In surprise, Yi Chen had waved his sword and pointed directly at her brows. Seeing this, Qi Yu stepped back, her toes were pointy, her body shape and footwork were extraordinary, she was only 2 inches away, and Yi Chen did not catch up with him. Ling Xiao means. Backing away, Qi Yu slammed a distance from Yi Chen, and then Yu Ji pointed. Suddenly, Yi Chen threw the Qishao sword. LB. The sound of a metal collision sounded, and the Qishao sword that flew towards him was flipped out by Qi Yu. Seeing Yi Chen rushing forward, Qi Yu waved another finger. However, what she never expected was that Yi Chen didn't even defend herself. She carried Qi Yu's finger stiffly, and her entire shoulder was poked out of a blood hole, which killed Qian Yu. Obviously, Qi Yu did not expect Yi Chen to fight like this. Amazed, Yi Chen had already waved his hands and chopped, and there was still the roar of the beast. Qi Yu looked indifferent, calmly responded, and waved to block, but below, Yi Chen's knee also arrived at the same time. Do you fight close? Qi Yu's eyes narrowed, and he broke his hand to block Yi Chen's knee blow. That's right. Yi Chen smiled strangely, and then the play instantly became fierce and domineering and very weird. Roar, roar, roar. In Lingdan Pavilion, the roar roared inexplicably, accompanied by every move of Yi Chen. Another beast that came down the mountain, sometimes like a tiger, sometimes like a fierce ape, sometimes like a lion, sometimes like a wolf, grabbed, patted, torn, used hands, feet, knees, shoulders, and every joint on his body became fierce. Weapon. Suddenly there is such a domineering melee combat technique. Qi Yu was in a state of confusion and could not help but be shocked. Good boy, I look down on you. Shu Fu also showed surprise. I was the first time I saw you were so embarrassed, except for the boy at Qianyang Peak. It seems that you can hit Canrenyong and Diong. It is not unreasonable for more than half of the true disciples in Erfang. Quote. Boom, boom. The battle is fierce, Yi Chen is fighting more and more bravely. With the mysterious mystery of the beast's heart anger and the mysterious body of Shouying Qianwan, Qi Yu who has been playing for a while keeps retreating. Looking at Qi Yu again, his clothes are messy and embarrassed. Although he has multiple mysterious techniques, he will be interrupted in advance by Yi Chen every time he touches his handprints, so that he will be pressed and lifted in the close combat. No head. Boom. Just listening to the roar, Qi Yu stiffly carried Yi Chen's punch, and his backward body knocked down a stone monument behind him. But at this time, she had time to react, and lifted Yi Chen, who flew head-on, out. Bihai Lingquan. He repelled Yi Chen, and Qi Yu quickly moved his handprints. Suddenly, there were choppy waves, and the sound of the waves beating. Behind Qi Yu, there were rolling waves, even the huge alchemy furnace was swallowed up, and the momentum was extremely loud. This mystery is extraordinary. It seems that she does not want to lose in the hands of a condensed environment, and knows that she is all famous. On the opposite side, facing the tumbling waves, Yi Chen took a sharp step back. The momentum of this Bihai Lingquan was turbulent. I'm afraid there are few disciples at the outside door who can block its offensive. True fire. Show. With a thought, he offered a real fire. The real fire was golden and violently burning, centering on him, forming a vortex of flame, protecting him in the middle. Oncoming, the raging waves drowned him on the spot. Call. Until this time, Qi Yu spit out a stale air, and was quite confident in her secret method. She was convinced that Yi Chen couldn't stop the trick. She still had shock in her beautiful eyes. It was the first time she was in a condensed state. So embarrassed in his hands. You can force me to use this secret technique, Yi Chen, you are proud of yourself. Of course, as soon as she spoke, the clear waters of the blue sea she played were broken by Yi Chensheng, and the heat wave was released. Immediately, it was the sound of the Lingzhan howling. Shocked and unbelievable, the tip of the Qishao sword was already 3 inches outside her throat. Sister, you lost. Yi Chen looked at Qi Yu with a smile. This. Qi Yueshang looked at Yi Chen and Zhang Yuko in front of her, and couldn't close it for a long time. Although it was only 3 moves, she knew that any of the 3 methods used in the 3 moves were extraordinary. Using her cultivation as a display, she was defeated by a condensed state, which he never expected. After receiving the Qishao sword, Yi Chen froze for a moment and almost fell. Qiu's Bihai Lingquan is indeed strong, and if he does not have real fire restraint, he will undoubtedly lose. Shu Fu's apprentice was really not simple. His heart was full of booing. Yi Chen knew that if there were no 3-stroke restrictions and he would fight again, who would lose or win? Good boy, you really surprised me. Shu Fu on the stone steps slowly walked down, his face sighing. It's just a fluke. Yi Chen grinned and poured spirit fluid into his mouth. Shu Fu had looked at the silent Qi Yu, his face slumped. You know, there are people out there who have sky outside, and today they are defeated, you should go back and reflect. Qi Yu pursed her lips, but nodded. She knew that if Yi Chen was to be at the same level as her, she would undoubtedly be defeated. By this point, she would be worse than Yi Chen. Slowly moving his steps, Qi Yu silently walked towards the side hall. When he stepped into the side hall, he did not forget to glance at Yi Chen. A condensed atmosphere, an alchemist who should not be good at fighting, gave her too many surprises. I'm too arrogant. Suddenly, Qi Yu murmured to himself, and an inexplicable emotion was born in her heart. Yi Chen apparently didn't notice anything strange when Qi Yu was leaving. He was rubbing his hands and looking at Shu Fu with a smile. Elder, you always have to talk to you. It's indispensable for you, Shu Fu said angrily. The apprentice was defeated, and he felt that his face was dull. However, he kept his promise. Under the moonlight night, he stirred the ground fire, and put a plant of Yechen prepared by Yi Chen into it. Compared to Yi Chen, a semi-slinger alchemist, he has a high attainment for alchemy. He does not have any pressure to refining the spirit, and he also explains the mystery to Yi Chen while refining. Out of Dan. Soon, with Shu Fu's frivolity, a crystal-clear cyan tincture flew out of the alchemy furnace, and he grasped it by waving his arm. Yes, you see, Shu Fu consciously put the newly refined Soul Dan into his sleeve. It's harder than going back to Schwanden, but there should be no problem. Yi Chen touched his chin. Then you slowly practice. Shu Fu was leisurely, humming Shao Kuer into the back room. Chapter 84, Ninth Condensation. After Shu Fu left, Yi Chen closed her eyes. Standing in front of the alchemy furnace, he constantly matched the descriptions on the Danfang with the pictures presented by Shu Fu. He didn't know how long before he opened his eyes slowly. Real fire. With his frivolity, he put the real fire into the alchemy furnace, and then a bunch of herbs were cast into the alchemy furnace, regardless of the order, and he carefully controlled the real fire. This is a long and soul-consuming process. Hum. During the period, the alchemy furnace continued to buzz, and Yi Chen continued to fail. There was nothing to say all night, and then dawn. When Chi Yu came out of the side hall, Yi Chen was still standing in front of the alchemy furnace. The alchemy that kept on all night left his eyes hollow, his eyes full of blood, and a beard stubble growing around his mouth. Without talking, Chi Yu just quietly looked at Yi Chen's back, and he could still see the stubbornness on his Qingshou face. At this moment, the alchemy furnace trembled again, and the spirit grass inside was burned into ashes again. Yi Chen was taken a step back by the shock, took a moment, and almost fell to the ground. Hurry up but not come, take a rest. Chi Yu finally stepped down the stone steps, although his tone was indifferent, but it was much more relaxed than before. This alchemy is really a technical job. Yi Chen sighed, and filled her mouth with spiritual fluid. I heard that you are still an apprentice disciple. Chi Yu stopped in front of the alchemy furnace and glanced at Yi Chen from the right side. Yi Chen shrugged. No way, the first of the three main peaks was there. No one wants me, and I can only be an intern disciple. They should regret it now. I don't know if I don't regret it later, but in recent days I have been ridiculed by them. Yi Chen rubbed his eyebrows. It shouldn't be difficult to break into the inner door with your strength. Chi Yu whispered, not forgetting to take a deep look at Yi Chen. Your strength, at least outside the door, is already in the top 10. Listed. Quote. After hearing this, Yi Chen put down the Zijin small gourd and looked curiously at Chi Yu. Sister, who are the top 10 disciples in the outer door? Who are you? Tell me. The top 10 disciples outside the door, except for me, each of the three main peaks, Yin Jiping, the first disciple of the precepts, Wang Lin, the first disciple of the Spirit Orchard, Xiao Jing, the disciple of the Law Enforcement Hall, the first disciple Lu Zonner, Huo Tang, the first apprentice of the Mission Pavilion. Quote. Chi Yu was surprisingly patient, and went out one by one of the top 10 disciples in the outside world, even their strength and cultivation were clearly stated. When she was finished, she looked at Yi Chen. Outside the door, most of them are fine if you don't meet them. Of course, if you are unlucky, it is inevitable to meet them. I see. Yi Chen turned over and jumped up. After drinking the spirits, he gave birth again and continued to practice alchemy. What a freak, Chi Yu murmured. Throughout the day, Yi Chen had never left the alchemy furnace. During this period, Shu Fu secretly came to see it a few times, and saw Yi Chen's failure to refining soul pill, and was slightly disappointed. Time passes slowly. In a blink of an eye, the night began to dim again. In the inner hall, Shu Fu handed a jade box to Chi Yu. This is Junyang Dan, which may help you break through to the realm of the realm. Thank you very much, Master. Chi Yu hurriedly took it, smiling brightly. Yuer, what do you think of that kid? He frowned at his beard. Shu Fu glanced at Yi Chen outside, and then set his eyes on Chi Yu. He surprised me. I'm not asking you this, I'm asking you this person like him. As soon as this remark came out, Chi Yu was understood. She, Master, wanted to match her with Yi Chen again. Ah, Master, you talk about this again. Chi Yu stomped her feet, not only ashamed or angry, but also a hint of redness on her cheek flashed quietly. Compared with the first time, her expression became extremely incomparable strange. This strangeness was captured by Shu Fu, and he seemed to have found the answer from Chi Yu's face. Out of Dan. At this moment, a frivolity came from outside the hall. Exercise it. After hearing the sound, Shu Fu stepped out of the inner hall. Chi Yu was full of surprise and followed. Outside the hall, Yi Chen was already sitting on the ground with her buttocks, and she wore a shawl. Although her form was awkward, she was smiling cheerfully, and she was holding a green miracle. Like the first refined Weishuan Dan, the Ling Dan was not very rounded, and even some pots and puddles, even the lingering elixir appeared, but he succeeded after all. Shu Fu glanced at the ashes of the spirit grass on the ground, and there was still a look of surprise in his eyes. It only took more than 50 copies of spirit grass to make it. This boy's talent is called evil spirit. Hee hee, hee 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 hee. Yi Chen sat on the ground, looking at Lingdan with a bright smile in his eyes. Watching the soul Dan such a close distance, especially smelling the aroma of the elixir above, made him feel refreshed. Immediately, he opened his mouth and swallowed the soul Dan. The soul elixir melted into the body immediately, like a Wang Qingchuan flowing through his whole body. His exhaustion quickly dissipated, because it was an elixir that nourished the soul. He clearly felt that his soul had sublimated. Yes, yes, Yi Chen smiled again, and his deep eyes became watery. Huh. Just then, a voice like this came out of him, as if some barrier had been broken. Breakthrough. Shu Fu and Qi Yu were surprised. A pleasant surprise. Yi Chen hurriedly sat cross-legged on the ground. Soon, the rich heaven and earth aura centered on him, poured into his body through the pores in his body, forming a thick aura of Qi, which was sucked by his whale. Just breaking through to the 9th weight of Ning Qi, it took such a huge amount of Reiki. Seeing the majestic Reiki poured into Yi Chen's body, Qi Yu was surprised. His dantian is much bigger than the average person, Shu Fu said with a beard. Perhaps because of this large capacity dantian, he has the ability to leapfrog the challenge. No wonder, Qi Yu muttered a glance at Yi Chen. For 3 hours, the rich heaven and earth aura slowly dispersed. Yi Chen, at this moment, also slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were much more obscure and restrained than before. Looking at his body again, because the practice is advanced, the meridians have become thicker, especially Danhai, which has also widened more than doubled. The billowing Qi is as raging as the ocean. Good. Holding his fist, feeling the power on his fist, Yi Chen smiled comfortably. Late at night, the bloodthirsty hall, more than a dozen figures walked into a majestic hall. We inserted in the inside line of the 3 sects and the great families, and haven't found any news about the half of Tianjin. The majestic hall was full of majestic voice. No. No. Waste. All waste. The rage shook the whole hall with a trembling. Check. Check for me again, check carefully. Chapter 85. Tibetan Medicine. For the next 10 days, Yi Chen never stepped out of the inner court. When he arrived on the 11th night, he walked out of Lingdan Pavilion. In the past 10 days, his alchemy has improved greatly, and with the continuous alchemy, his soul strength has also increased a lot. At night, Heng Yizong was not calm. He came all the way and found that on all the stones, many disciples sitting cross-legged were absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. Are you going to battle the gun? Yi Chen thought of the outside door comparison in the near future. Many disciples seemed to feel the pressure, so they did not even waste the rest of the night. However, when he walked with the sword carrying the heavens, it still attracted a lot of people's attention. No wonder he was so famous these days that even the insiders knew it. You were Yi Chen. While walking, a disciple in white robe blocked his way. True Yang state. With a frown, Yi Chen felt the practice of the person in front of him instantly, and he had broken through to the real state. Looking up, the first impression that this person gave him was familiarity. How to say, it looks a bit like Qi Hao of that person's Yang Feng. Needless to say, they belong to a family and must have blood connections. This brother, are you okay? Yi Chen asked indifferently. Regarding Yi Chen's attitude of not being salty or indifferent, the disciples in front of the white robes were not angry, and joked. Then, let me introduce myself first. I am Qi Yang from the inner door, and I am Ren Yang Feng Qi. Hao's cousin. Quote. Brother Qi came all the way from the inside door, and it wasn't because I wanted to settle accounts with me in a condensed state. The corner of Qi Yang's mouth sneered at the arc of sneer, but his mouth came to Yi Chen's ear. Sneer, Yi Chen, you'd better stay in Heng Yizong all your life, otherwise, the Qi family will tell you that some people, you can't provoke it. Quote. Are you intimidating? Yi Chen glanced at Qi Yang. Of course. Qi Yang laughed. Then I'll wait. Provoked my Qi family, you are destined to be miserable. With a cold smile again, Qi Hao shook his robes and turned straight to Ren Yangfeng. Who doesn't have to die? Yi Chen sneered, and walked down the mountain. Before stepping into the gate of the little spirit garden, he smelled the strong flavor of meat and the sound of a yelling, "Come and come, eat more, and finally get it." With a slight smile, Yi Chen pushed in the door and walked in. In his eyes, he saw that Shang Er's face was eating without a face and holding a large iron basin. In addition to Shang Er, his daughter-in-law Tang Rushuan is also here, plus Zhang Fengnian, Hua, and the little eagle spirit beast. Several people are eating stew around the big iron pot. Yo! Seeing Yi Chen's return, Shang Er's eyes bloomed with bright light. Boy, what wind is blowing back to you again? I miss you, Yi Chen replied casually, then rolled up his sleeves, took the chopsticks handed by Hua by hand, and did not take himself as an outsider, and took a piece of stew from the iron pot. Hee hee, hee 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 hee. Shang Er immediately put down the iron pot in his arms, rubbed his little hands and drew his hands to Yi Chen. Boy, have you brought me any gifts? Looking at Shang Er's bear-like face, Yi Chen had an urge to stab him, but he still took away Xuandan from his arms and passed it. Brother rewards you. Shang Er smiled, and after taking it, he put out his chubby hand again. And my wife? Yes, there is a share in the audience, Yi Chen said angrily, and then took out 4 spirits, Tang Rushuan, Zhang Fengnian, and Tiger Baby, and even the little eagle spirit beast had the honor to get one. The fragrant meat in the Shaolingyuan was fragrant, and a few people sat around like a family, but it was also warm. After having dinner, Tang Rushuan cleaned up the tableware very well, and the honest Tiger Baby also rolled up his sleeves to help. As for Yi Chen and Shang, they were together again. Boy, haven't heard that. This time after the outside door wins, you have to pass a test before you can enter the inside door. Shang Er said while pulling his teeth. Test? What test? Yi Chen was a little surprised. There is a barren forest between the inner door and the outer door. The disciples who win the game must pass through this barren forest to enter the inner door. Listen to the old man said that there are traps, monsters, and some people are embarrassed. These are trivial things. I heard that the inner gate will send dozens of disciples into the barren forest. The weakest people are at the peak of the human realm. The outer disciples must break through their defense line to be successful. Quote, I depend, play. Rao was unable to help Yi Chen's determination. The inner door is full of food. This test can't work, but the hard work of the disciples who won the outer door will be wiped out. What? Listening to the old man said that this is to test the disciples' ability to cooperate. In the end, whether they are qualified or not depends on their own performance. Why do I have a bad hunch? Yi Chen rubbed his eyebrows. This Heng Yizong's assessment of entering the inner door is much more difficult than Zhengyang sect. He must first stand out after a few thousand disciples outside the door to qualify for the barren forest, but the test of the barren forest is even more outside. Big match. Late at night, Shang Er and Tang Rushuan left the Xiaoling garden. Hua and Zhang Fengnian each fell asleep, and then Yi Chen took something out of the storage bag. It was a spiritual bead, and it was the half of the heavenly seal that was sealed in the spiritual bead. Looking at Jiden once again as an alchemist, Yi Chen was stunned in his heart, especially after seeing the broken 6 lines above, and even more embarrassed, in his current way, away from the 6 lines as Lingtan far behind. A Tianji Dan is likely to create a strong Tianjio. I don't know if this half Tianjidan can help a quasi-sky monk to advance. Shooting away the power of Jingdan that day, I must be very anxious now. If they let me know that the remaining half of Tianji Dan is in my hands, I should die terribly. Yi Chen kept groaning while touching his chin, and he was already thinking about hiding this half of Tianjidan somewhere, or putting it on his body. If he was found, God knew what nonsense would happen. Where is it hidden? Yi Chen looked around for a while. In the end, his gaze was on the wall around the little spirit garden, which was made of marble on 3 sides and leaned against a rock wall on one side. It's up to you. He came to the rock wall in 3 or 2 steps, and then poke a small hole in it with his finger, just to insert the seal of Tianjidan's spirit beads, and finished it with a small stone block. After doing this, he sat cross-legged in the garden. After meditation and condensing, his mind moved, and the real fire followed, and then he controlled the real fire with his mind to form an alchemy furnace. Then, a piece of spirit grass was dropped in. This time, he was not refining the elixir, but refining the jade spirit fluid. He understands that the next test of the outside door, especially in the barren forest, will be difficult and the consumption is certain, but it cannot be used back to Schwanden whenever it is consumed. It is not the same as Yulingye. Although it is not as effective as Weishuanden, it is easy to refinish. Generally, as long as it is extremely lacking, it is enough. After a few days, coupled with the refinement of alchemy, he can say that the refining of the jade spirit fluid is in hand. Silent night, this little spirit garden is full of medicinal fragrance, refreshing. Just before dawn, he received the real fire, and the refined jade liquid was also poured into the Zijin gourd. It's been enough for me to use it for a long time. After shaking the purple gold gourd, Yi Chen smiled with relief. Chapter 86, Tianzhao gathered. The next day, Heng Yuzong was full of people. Today Heng Yuzong is extraordinarily lively, because today is the day before the outside door comparison. At this moment, the disciples of Heng Yuzong have already gathered together in twos and threes. One of the disciples is required to register. Not all disciples will participate. Those who are weak will not go up and find it uncomfortable. When Yi Chen arrived, a lot of people had gathered here, and the disciples who came in and out were dazzled. This is Chengkan Pavilion. Yi Chen could not help but glance up when he felt his chin. Chengkan Pavilion is truly magnificent. At the top of the pavilion, there is a treasure seal of Chengkan, overflowing with brilliant light. It's magnificent. Yi Chen hurriedly walked in. In the eye, he saw a battle platform full of hundreds of feet in size. The open space around the battle platform was thousands of feet in length. The outer door comparisons over the years were carried out here. God bless you. Don't let me meet a strong opponent. I don't want to stay outside for 3 more years. God bless me. Along the way, Yi Chen heard these words, and the disciples and the magic wand were praying with both hands. Yi Chen's appearance instantly attracted the attention of the disciples. He is now a famous figure in Hengyu, and the intern disciple that Sanfeng was unwilling to accept that day, in just 2 months, became a dark horse that Heng Yizong knew, which really made people sigh. But don't let me meet him. I don't want to meet him either. He is a wicked man, whoever encounters him is unlucky. Yi Chen ignored the words around him and walked towards the main hall of Chengkan Pavilion. On the way, he just met an old acquaintance. Take a closer look, isn't it Zhao Long, Di Yangfeng? Yi Chen. Seeing Yi Chen, Zhao Long gritted his teeth. Yi Chen ignored it, and was too lazy to care about it. He defeated Zhao Long on the day when he was heavy, and now he has reached the 9th weight of Ning Qi. He is higher than Zhao Long. They are no longer a level people. Ignored by Yi Chen, Zhao Long's teeth snapped, but it was helpless. The true disciple had been beaten for more than half. He was no longer eligible to compare with Yi Chen. Ahead, the disciples who came to sign up already gave a clear way for Yi Chen. Yi Chen was not polite, and went straight to the elder of a white robe named Li Daodong. Elder, I sign up. Yi Chen said, having passed his identity card. You are Yi Chen. Li Daodong glanced at the name on the identification card, and couldn't help looking at Yi Chen up and down, booing, it's really a talented person from Zhongshan. The elders have won prizes. Well, do it well. Li Daodong smiled mildly and had engraved Yi Chen's name on a piece of jade slip. After signing up, Yi Chen turned and walked outside, but met many old acquaintances again. Ren Yangfeng's disciples came in groups and were led by the man named Zhang Hao. On the other side, Di Yangfeng's disciples also came. Naturally, the purple shirt led the team. The enemies were so jealous when they met. When the disciples of Ren Yangfeng and Di Yangfeng saw Yi Chen, their faces and brushes were all gloomy. These days, the face of the disciples of the 2 peaks in Yi Chen was lost. Boy, it's best to pray that heaven will not meet me, otherwise you will die and it's ugly. Zhang Hao and Zishan stepped forward and smiled coldly. As this intimidation, Yi Chen stared directly at the two, his eyes sharp and sharp. The momentum of the trio's body was flowing without calling, and it was constantly rising. There was a posture that was about to start on the spot. It's hilarious. A laugh of playful abuse sounded, and Yin Jiping, who was shaking the folding fan, came in, sneerily glanced at Yi Chen, and there was still a cold light in his eyes. Yi Chen glanced at Yin Jiping. The killing power that could not be restrained in his body was still suppressed by him. The day he severely injured Zhang Fengnian in the commandment hall, he was always engraved in his heart, secretly vowing that one day he would destroy the dog bastard. The killing thoughts are too heavy. Even if you are strong, it will be difficult to achieve a positive result. As soon as this sentence came out, Yi Chen didn't have to go and knew who came, except for Su Xinyue, who was Yang Feng. Say. Next, many more people came, mostly with hatred against Yi Chen. All right, such a large group of people sneered at Yi Chen, making Yi Chen's figure seem to be weak. Are you doing this here? The disciples whispered. This is Chenkin Pavilion. Do you want to die here? Why, what are you doing here? An angry voice followed, breaking the depressive atmosphere at the scene. The Comer is a disciple in purple with a golden hammer in his arms. His body is not ordinary and he is full of bold temperament. His arrival brightened the eyes of the disciples all around. The first disciple of the mission court, Hoden. Someone recognized the man immediately. Let's just say it. It must be lively today. After Huo Tang, 5 more people appeared, making the disciples around them bright again. Sole apprentice, Zhao Yan. The first disciple of law enforcement, Xiao Jing. The first disciple of the orchard, Wang Lin. Is that Lu Shuner, the first disciple of the library? It even came. After the 3 of them, another beautiful shadow came in. Take a closer look. It is Qiu of Lingdan Pavilion. The top 10 disciples outside the gate, except the Tianyang Peak, have arrived, so that the already lively Chenkin Pavilion has become full of enthusiasm. These evildoers may only be when the outer gate is compared. Will come together. It goes without saying that you are Yi Chen. Huo Teng of Task Pavilion was familiar and had set his sights on Yi Chen. Similarly, the eyes of several others also came together. When Yi Chen came to Heng Yizong, they were still in retreat. The name that they heard the most 2 days ago was Yi Chen's. The real people at this moment were still curious. I'd say it's a condensed state. You still don't believe it. I believe it now, although it is a condensed atmosphere, but this breath is not weak. I wait. This boy, it looks very pleasing to the eye. Several talented disciples touched their chins and looked at Yi Chen, just like monkeys. Yi Chen looked uncomfortable. Little brother, don't be afraid, my brother covers you. Huo Teng froze Yi Chen's neck with a broad grin, and said he never forget to glance at Zhang Hao, the purple shirt and Yin Jiping. Quote. What are you talking about? The 3 faces suddenly became gloomy. I said, look at you, uncle. You. The purple shirt was about to rush up, but was stopped by Zhang Hao and Yin Jiping. See you on the stage. The 3 snorted, and each led their teachers and brothers into it. Cut. Huo Teng disapproved, and then patted Yi Chen's small shoulder, grinning and mouth wide. His voice was very rough. Little brother, find you a drink someday. Let's go. Don't leave any ink on it. Xiao Jing urged everyone and went to the hall. Did you feel the pressure? Qi Yu stepped forward after a few people left, and asked softly. There is pressure, but it's not great. Yi Chen said. Indeed, since breaking through to the 9th level of Ningqi in the past few days, he has absolute confidence to confront disciples below the true level of the sun. Although the top 10 disciples in the outer door are strong, they are all the peaks of the human realm, which is completely in him. Within the scope of the response. That's good. Qi Yu, indifferent, showed a slight smile. Why don't I see the number 1 disciple outside the door? Yi Chen looked at Qi Yu in doubt. Who knows where to run and drink again? Qi Yu shrugged and walked away. Any time to drink. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows, and slowly walked towards the outside. Chapter 87. Puppet. As soon as he came out of Chenkin Pavilion, Yi Chen was dragged away by Shang who did not know where he came from. Where did you come from? Where did you drag me? Show you something good. Why? Shang blinked his eyes. Being dragged by Shang Yi Chen was taken to the spirit orchard. Speaking of which, Yi Chen came to Heng Yizong's spiritual orchard for the first time. When he walked in, what he saw at first glance was the glittering spirits hanging from a thick spirit fruit tree. He thought of the fruit, exuded aura of chi, and saw him with his eyesight, bright. When the two walked in, Tang Rushuan, a disciple of the spirit orchard, had already picked up a few dishes of spirit fruit and treated them to Yi Chen. Yi Chen certainly wasn't polite. He took a bite of linguo and looked at Shang-Er. "Where's the good thing you said?" "Go there," Shang-Er said, not forgetting to point far away. Hearing that, Yi Chen looked in the direction of Shang's two fingers. He found out that there was a man in black standing under a spiritual fruit tree not far away. He was young and a young man, standing like a javelin and standing still. Who then? I haven't seen it before. Yi Chen looked at Shang-Er and Tang Rushuan in confusion. He's a puppet. Tang Rushuan put his hands on the stone table, holding his fleshy chin. Master brought it from the inner door yesterday and said it was to watch the spirit orchard. Well, Yi Chen froze. It's a good thing. Shang-Er grinned, biting a bite of linguo fiercely. Then I have to look. Yi Chen patted her ***** and ran. When he came to the cricket, he touched his chin and looked up at the cricket in front of him. From the cricket's body, he could not feel the breath of any monk. Moreover, the cricket's face was stiff, his eyes were empty, and there was no emotion. Fluctuations. It's really like the rumors. He had heard of Yi Yi when he was doing intelligence gathering in Zhengyangzong. The so-called tadpoles are a kind of killing weapon sacrificed by special mysterious methods. They have no emotional thoughts, so they are cold-blooded. Once the target is identified, they will not stop unless the caster can stop it. Reaching out his hand, he tapped lightly on the puppet. Pound, pound, pound. This stingy body is made of metal, very hard. How's it? It's fresh. Shang-Er came over holding a spirit fruit. In the barren forest test, this is the kind of puppet, but it's all human-level puppets. When it comes to strength, it's equivalent to a monk's human metaphysics. Quote, human level, is there a higher level? Of course. Shang-Er nodded. Zon level is above the human level, Zon level is equivalent to the monk's true realm, Zon level is above the earth level, and earth level is equivalent to the monk's spiritual realm. Above the level is the heavenly level. Listen to the old lady saying that Wei Heng Yizong also has a heavenly level eunuch, which is equivalent to a monk's empty realm. Quote, true and false. Yi Chen was surprised. I heard that it's like this, I'm too old and I haven't seen it myself. Girl Rushuan, who controls this puppet? Yi Chen looked to Tang Rushuan aside, can you let me try his strength? It's not easy. Waiting for Tang Rushuan to speak, Shang-Er stunned and stuffed the remaining spiritual fruit into his arms. Then he grabbed a spiritual fruit from the tree and waved it off. Suddenly, Yi Chen noticed an aura of light flashing in the eyes of the symbols in front of him. Immediately, he moved and chased after Shang-Er. Come here, Xiao Yi will take you for 2 laps. Shang-Er already ran out, and the uncle chased after him. The speed was not very fast, but he would never stop without catching up with Shang-Er. I have the thought of acting. Yi Chen looked at Tang Rushuan in surprise. Of course not. Tang Rushuan revealed 2 small tiger teeth. He was controlled by man-made operations, and he was placed in this spirit orchard to guard the spirit orchard. Master has carved a prohibition on him in advance. Once someone stealing the fruit will trigger a restraint within him and he will chase and expel himself. Quote, then if he can't catch up with Shang-Er, he will keep chasing it. Of course not. If Shang-Er ran out of the spirit orchard, he would stop chasing. Naturally, there is another way, which is to stop him by casting. Speaking, Tang Rushuan had moved her fingerprints, and it seemed that she was in control of it. Soon, the puppet still chasing Shang-Er not far away, immediately stopped and was called back by Tang Rushuan. Try his strength. Tang Rushuan changed his fingerprints. Immediately, the cricket that stood like a javelin suddenly moved, stepped out 1 step, and slashed with a palm toward Yi Chen. Seeing this, Yi Chen did not retreat, Ben Lei slammed out. LB. The sound of the metal collision was so crisp that the cricket was shaken back by his palm. But soon, the puppet rushed over again. Although the attack was stiff, if the caster did not stop, he would never stop attacking. Really mysterious, Yi Chen exclaimed, and also estimated his strength in the showdown, not very strong. He is a low-level one in the human class. Tang Rushuan explained, only because the materials used to make him are too inferior. If the materials made are high, and then give him the ability to perform mysticism, the strength will be different. Now, quote, I can still perform mystery, Yi Chen said in surprise. Yes, Tang Rushuan answered with affirmative, but that kind of shivering requires extremely high flexibility and rigidity of the material, otherwise it is easy to be injured by mysticism, and it gives him the ability to perform mysticism, which is in his body. The branded prohibition is also extremely tedious. Even if he is given the ability to perform mysticism, his strength will be lower than that of monks of the same level. After all, they have no thought. Quote, good stuff, really good stuff. Yi Chen touched his chin, secretly thinking that if he had a strong cricket, it should feel good. Here, Shang poked Yi Chen with his fingers, grinning and smirking, do you want to get one? Can this thing be obtained? Yi Chen's eyes brightened. Of course. Shang blinked his small eyes, Wangbao Pavilion sells it. I will also sell it. Yi Chen stunned. Here, Shang has stretched out 2 chubby fingers, human-level puppet, 300,000 spirit stones. 300,000. Hearing this price, Rao was Yi Chen's constant force, and could not help but swallow a spit. Although 300,000 is not a small number, it's not difficult for you. Shang patted Yi Chen's shoulder quite deeply. Thousands is nothing more than spending some time. Quote, a human-level puppet has limited strength. Buying one with 300,000 spirit stones, how can I feel so lost? Yi Chen stunned. You know what a fart. I have no thoughts and no soul. They are killing weapons. Rao is a human-level puppet. At a critical moment, it can save lives. At least it is not a problem to block the enemy from killing one blow. Yi Chen's eyes turned, and it felt that Shang was not unreasonable. I am a tool, I have no thoughts, no pain, no itch. Even if it is broken by a palm, it is not a good way to protect yourself. 500,000. Yi Chen touched his chin, a light flashed in his eyes, and murmured, couple together. Chapter 88. Borrow money. Out of the Ling orchard, Yi Chen muttered all the way to Lingdan Pavilion. 300,000 spirit stones, it is not enough to sell all the elixir of my body. He knew that if he sold these miracles and spirits to Wanbao Pavilion, the price would be half cheaper than when he bought them. If he wanted the disciples of Hengyu to sell miracles, it would undoubtedly reveal his identity as an alchemist. He didn't want his alchemy to be known so quickly. Thinking about this, he stepped into Lingdan Pavilion. From a distance, he saw Shu Fu lying on the reclining chair, humming at leisure, and sometimes he took the wine glass on the table and took a sip. Signed up. Shu Fu glanced at Yi Chen. Come back. Yi Chen grinned, and then slipped into Shu Fu's back, pinching his shoulders for Shu Fu. Don't rectify these useless, what's the matter, said Shu Fu at a glance through Yi Chen's careful thinking, dedication and diligence if nothing happened. It's nothing, I just want to borrow some money from you. Hearing that, Shu Fu raised an eyebrow. How much to borrow? 300,000. Puff. Yi Chen had just quoted the price, and here Shu Fu sprayed the water just as he poured into his mouth. Seeing this, Yi Chen had consciously covered her ears. 300,000, your kid is going to go to heaven. Soon, Shu Fu's cursing came, and his beard was glaring. His voice was not generally high. Rao was Yi Chen covering her ears, but was still buzzed rattle. Say, why use so much money? Yi Chen coughed and touched the tip of his nose. Buy something. Fudge, and then fudge, what is so expensive as 300,000 spirit stones? Well, Yi Chen still told the truth after all, otherwise it wasn't that simple to want to lend a spirit stone from Shu Fu. You're full, can you buy a puppet for 300,000? Shu Fu understood it, and he didn't know where Yi Chen heard about puppets, which made him pay attention. I just bought it for research, curious. It's 100,000, there's more. Glancing at Yi Chen, Shu Fu threw a storage bag upset. Also, remember to pay me back if you have the money. If you don't have the money, you can get it. Quote. Yi Chen gave a whisper, but still took the storage bag, and walked towards the outside dimly, and he couldn't lift his head when he scolded him. As soon as he came out of Lingdan Pavilion's gate, he saw Chi Yu reclining on the wall. It seemed that she had arrived long ago, but didn't go in. As for him borrowing money from Shu Fu, Chi Yu heard most of it. Sister Chi, I only have so much, take it. Chi Yu turned his hands and took out a storage bag and handed it to Yi Chen. Yi Chen froze for a while, but did not expect Chi Yu to lend him so neatly. This was a reaction. Thissa, hold it for you. Chi Yu stuffed the storage bag into Yi Chen's hands, then stepped into Lingdan Pavilion, and then a voice came back, remember to return it if you have money. After Chi Yu left, Yi Chen glanced at her storage bag, which was as much as 70,000 80,000, which was greatly beyond his expectation again. Compared with Shu Fu, this indifferent sister Chi was usually very generous. 170,000, almost. Tucked the storage bag into his arms, Yi Chen went straight to the Wanbao Pavilion. Today's Wanbao Pavilion is extraordinarily lively, with many disciples coming in and out. 3 days later, the outside door is a big match. These disciples came here to buy equipment such as spiritual fluids and spirits. When Yi Chen walked in, the huge sea was staring brightly at his fellow students. If anyone dared to steal things here, he would definitely not escape his discovery, and he would be fat. Yo, you haven't been here for a while. The huge sea gave Yi Chen a glance. Busy practice, no time. Yi Chen said, not forgetting to pick and choose on the shelf beside him. After picking for a while, he came to the vast sea, and then whispered, Elder, I heard you have a problem. I heard that the huge sea was a little surprised, and raised his eyebrows. Why, do you want to buy? Buy for research. Human-level puppets need 300,000 spirit stones. Boy, do you have so much money. Da Daohai looked at Yi Chen with an unbelieving look. Lao Su is very busy today, but I have no time to give you such idle talk. Yi Chen didn't say anything, just pulled out the storage bag and handed it over. The huge sea took it, and glanced into it. The eyes were full of surprise, and there were 170,000 or 80,000 spirit stones in it, plus the messy things such as spirit grass and spiritual fluid, almost 300,000. About. Come with me. Daohai took a deep look at Yi Chen, but did not ask Yi Chen about the origin of the money. The vast sea took Yi Chen to a small side door of Wanbao Pavilion. After walking in, Yi Chen found out that it was a small room, forming a realm of its own, about 20 feet in radius. When the illuminated spirit beads lighted up, he saw 6 urns standing in the small room. Now, it's all human level, you can choose it yourself. Da Daihai said casually, and carefully counted the contents of Yi Chen's storage bag. Without the huge sea notice, Yi Chen still started to see it by himself. The first 3 puppets all looked like young people. As a javelin stood there, they naturally did not react at all to Yi Chen's passing. Pound pound pound, gently tapping their bodies, like the one in the spirit orchard, their bodies are very hard and they make a sound of metal collision. After passing through these 3 puppets, he came to the 4th one. The 4th one is a middle-aged man with a huge back and a huge body. He is more than a foot taller than Yi Chen. It feels thick and tough, making Yi Chen helpless. However, he was not in a hurry, but looked at the 5th one. This 5th man is an old man with gray hair and wrinkled skin on his face. With a pair of hollow eyes, it looks a little scary at first. I do not know, he thought he crawled from the coffin. It comes out the same. I won't choose you, Yi Chen murmured in his heart. Compared with the old man, he looked at the middle-aged person better. He said in his heart that he passed the old man, and looked at the 6th man here. Suddenly, his eyes lightened. The first 5 children are men, both young and old, but the 6th one is a woman. She also stood there like a javelin, wearing black clothes and black boots on her feet. She had no emotion, her eyes were dazzling, and she was empty. But it's worth mentioning that she has a face with Chu Shuaner. Although she is a tadpole, she has white cheeks, carved jade bracelets with 5 senses, and the person who made her seems to work very hard. Her looks and body have been refined to the extreme. Standing here is like a sculpted lifelike statue. This is very good. Yi Chen touched her chin, and the most important thing was to take her back, and she looked good all day. Are you ready? The huge sum of money was good, and he looked impatiently at Yi Chen. Just her. Yi Chen pointed at the beautiful girl in front of her. Seeing this, The huge sea brow frowned slightly, and coughed dryly. You still have to change another one. That middle-aged man is just fine. Why? Yi Chen looked at the huge sea staggeringly. The function of this son-in-law is not complete. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and asked tentatively, what do you mean by incomplete functions? She has only one arm. Really? Yi Chen froze, and hurriedly approached, only to find that the beautiful girl's left arm was supported by lotus root, and she came down with a slight swipe. What's the situation? Yi Chen looked at the huge sea suddenly. It was damaged when fighting with the disciples inside, so it was sold to my Wanbao pavilion. The materials made from the smelt were hard to find, so it was put on hold, or you should change it. That won't work. I want her. Since it's damaged, give me a cheaper one. Less your 50,000 spirit stones. The vast sea glanced at Yi Chen. The deal. Here, the huge sea has handed over a magic charm. Merge your blood and a trace of soul power into the magic charm, and then put it on the brows of the son-in-law. Yi Chen did, dropping a drop of blood with soul power on the magic charm, and then stuck it to the son-in-law's eyebrow. Soon, the amulet became thin and blended into the son-in-law's brows. Suddenly, Yi Chen's soul was shaken, and he had established a connection with that son-in-law. It's so mysterious. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Beautiful lady, you'll confuse me later. As he said, he flicked his hand gently and put the beautiful lady in a storage bag. However, neither he nor the vast sea realized that at the moment when they were put into the storage bag, the eyes of the beautiful symbol flashed a strange aura. Chapter 89. One-armed son-in-law, Zizan. At night, Yi Chen brought the beautiful woman back to the little spirit garden. The tiger baby who was practicing the tentacles team suddenly stopped and looked curiously at the beautiful girl behind Yi Chen. Big brother, who is this beautiful big sister? She Isa A. Alas, Zhang Fengnian, who had just stepped out of the house, couldn't help but be surprised. He, who was once the elder of Hengyu, still had a wide range of knowledge. At a glance, he recognized that Yi Chen was behind him. Hua raised her head and looked at Yi Chen and Zhang Fengnian curiously. AA was created by the head of my generation of Heng Yizong. It is a killing weapon sacrificed by a special mysterious method. They have no emotional thoughts, so they are cold-blooded. Once they identify their goals, they will not stop unless the caster stops before he can stop. Quote. Zhang Fengnian gently explained it to the tiger baby, but the tone of surprise was still beyond concealment. I never thought that Yi Chen could have gotten a fool. The next dinner was very unnatural. Yi Chen was devouring, and the beautiful girl stood behind him, as motionless as a javelin. She stood like this, letting the eating tiger baby and Zhang Fengnian look up from time to time, and even the little eagle spirit beast raised her furry little head from time to time and looked at the beautiful girl with curiosity. After having dinner, Zhang Fengnian and Hua fell asleep early. In the garden, Yi Chen had touched his chin and walked around the beauty for several times. I'll give you a name like that. Yi Chen looked at the beautiful girl, and naturally won't get any response. Still circling around the beautiful girl, Yi Chen groaned for a long time before touching her chin, and then walked in front of the beautiful girl. He smiled. Call you Zizan. Look like this. This name is very good, you will be called Zizan now. Quote. Next, Yi Chen sacrificed a little soul power into Zizan's body. He found that Zizan's body was not flesh and blood, but a fusion of many unknown materials, but she was covered in a person's skin. In addition, he was still in Zizan's eyebrows, and found many restraints to control her. Based on his experience, he learned for a long time and found no clue. Thinking about it, he took out a dagger and slashed it on Zizan's arm. Although no blood was flowing out, the wound was healing. Although the speed was slow, it was Yi Chen's eyes shining. Next, he sacrificed real fire and poured it into Zizan's body. This is to help Zi Xuanxi to temper her body and try to get rid of the impurities in her body so that the various materials in the body can be better integrated, and the flexibility and hardness of the body can be improved to a better level. Because he was a tadpole, he didn't know the pain, so he didn't have any scruples, and raised the intensity of real fire to the highest level. However, he had never noticed that because of the high-intensity calcination of real fire, There was a pain in Zizan's eyebrows, and there was only a fluctuating expression on her cheek, just a flash on her cheek. After 3 hours, Yi Chen received the real fire, and then looked at Zi Xuanyuan in front of her eyes pleasingly. At this moment, a breeze blew and curled up Zizan's long hair. At this moment, Yi Chen's mind was stunned, as if standing in front of him was not a slapstick, but a person. Did I think too much? A dry cough. Yi Chen touched the tip of his nose subconsciously. The night was getting darker. Yi Chen did not return to the room to rest, but sat in the garden to practice masterpieces. Zi Xuanyu stood next to him, as usual, standing there like a javelin, with no emotion in his eyes closed. But I don't know when, the bright moonlight sprinkled on her shoulders, and it inexplicably merged into her body. More moonlight spilled, and she was absorbed by everyone who came. Yi Chen hadn't noticed this weird scene, but the little eagle spirit beast who had just opened his sleepy eyes from his sleep was discovered not far away. It looked from afar, looking at the bun, and there was doubt in his eyes. There was nothing to say all night, and then dawn. In the early morning, after having breakfast, Yi Chen called Hua to his side. Are you afraid of pain? Yi Chen touched Hua's small head. Not afraid. Well, let me see your cultivation results. Yi Chen stepped back slowly, but Zi Xuanyu behind him stepped forward. You fight with her. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Okay. The tiger baby nodded, and there was joy on the small face, and he turned his hands and took out his black iron rod. Immediately, the tiger baby came with a wrought iron rod, jumped up, and Ling Tian struck down. And that Zi Xuanyuan, but gently raised the jade arm, flipped his palm and patted it out. LB. The tiger baby was so stunned that she retreated, and before she stopped her figure, Zizan attacked. Although she had only one arm, her attack was very fierce. Human-level puppets, equivalent to the monk's human realm, and Hua just practiced shortly afterwards, and only had the third most condensed chi. She had no previous experience in war with people, so she was beaten up from the beginning. Aside, Yi Chen looked at it quietly, still surprised in his eyes. How do I feel that this one-armed puppet is stronger than the one I saw in the spirit orchard yesterday? And this way, and the move, Yi Chen murmured, and found out from this Zanzan's body something different from the one I saw yesterday. He found that although Zi Xuanyuan was missing an arm, she was more flexible than he thought and had a good degree of offense and defense. Except not being able to perform mystery, the other monks would use the same moves, and she would basically be able to. Is it because of the true fire? Muttered again, and Yi Chen had such a guess in his heart. Boom. Not far away, Hua was once again flipped out by Zizan's palm. Ah, the tiger baby was stubborn. He immediately got up and slammed the black iron rod to attack. Although the tentacle stick array used in his hands was chaotic, it also had a certain amount of attack power. Zizan's look was dumb, and she easily escaped from the black iron rod. The jade hand took a photo of the baby with her palm, then swept the jade leg, and flew the baby again. Yi Chen looked like that, but he didn't stop. Young man, this. Zhang Fengnian on the side couldn't stand it. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Grandpa, it is impossible to improve blindly. The tiger baby needs actual combat. Only by constantly being beaten in actual combat can he temper his mentality and combat effectiveness. On this road, frustration is essential. Yes, there is pressure to be motivated. Quote. Although Yi Chen said so, Zhang Fengnian couldn't bear to look directly at the picture of Hua being beaten. I don't know how long before, Yi Chen stopped Zizan. She was nothing but a tiger baby. When she got up from the ground, she was already emaciated and embarrassed. Her face was swollen and her face was bruised. But Rao is so. Instead of being discouraged, his face is joy and excitement. Her strength is in the realm of people, and she loses without losing shame. Yi Chen laughed, and at the same time he hit the magic fluid to heal the baby. Big brother, I'm not afraid of pain. I take a break and I have to fight with her. Hua showed her white teeth. I feel like fighting with her will allow me to learn a lot. After a brief rest for half an hour, the tiger baby jumped up alive. This time, he was still beaten up and unable to lift his head, but he fought more and more bravely. He vomited blood several times and stood up stiffly. Hey, Zhang Fengnian came out a few times, but when he saw the horrible blow of the tiger baby, he couldn't bear to look any further. Chapter 90. Big Mouth Child Panda Eye. At night, the almost beaten tiger baby was put on the bed by Yi Chen. Brother, can you still let her fight with me tomorrow? Although seriously injured, Hu Hua looked at Yi Chen with a look of hope. The premise is that your body is okay. With a slight smile, the palm of Yi Chen's body affixed to Hu Hua's body has been filled with anger. I'm fine. Have a good rest and continue tomorrow. The tiger baby did not know when he fell into a dream, and his small face was filled with a thick smile. Out of the room, Yi Chen came to Zi Xuanyu's body. Let's practice. Yi Chen looked at Zi Zan with a smile. Suddenly, Zi Zan moved, and she slanted it down. Yi Chen stunned and escaped easily, and turned and punched out. However, he still underestimated Zi Zan's ability. His punch was actually avoided by Zi Zan, and Ling Tian slammed it again. Yi Chen tiptoed and stepped back. Zi Zan attacked immediately, and the order that Yi Chen gave him was a constant attack. Without Yi Chen's restraint, she would not stop. Yi Zan was surprised by Zi Zan's ability. Although she was one-armed, she was obviously stronger than the one in the Ling orchard yesterday. Although he did not use his energy, he killed himself in close combat, and he thought he did not lose anything. People. Boom. In a regretful blow, Zi Zan was beaten back. Then, her hind foot followed the rebound of the ground, rushing again, and slanting it down with one palm. Yi Chen's eyes were swift and his hands were fast, and he easily escaped, and his knees were pushed up, and he met the jade hand photographed by Zi Zan. I look down on you. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Roar. Immediately, the roar of the beast sounded, and he used the beast's angry fury to fight close. Fighting with a puppet who didn't know how to hurt, he would never keep his hands, let alone pity and cherish the jade, and he was aggressive. It just happened that what made him even more wrong. Zi Xuanyu's melee combat was stronger and stronger than he had imagined, and it seemed that he was stronger when he was strong. His beast heart wrath mystery, which had repeatedly built up marvelous feats, killed her in close combat. Is this the baby I picked up? Yi Chen smiled happily, spreading his body out, like a fierce beast. This battle lasted more than 3 hours before it came to an end. Yi Chen gasped to stop Zi Zan. He didn't use his anger, but he was still a little embarrassed. Zi Zan stood like a javelin again. Compared with Yi Chen's hot sweats, she was just like nothing. I need to think about it carefully. Yi Chen filled a sap, and touched his chin around Zi Zan. He was certain that Zi Xuanyu at this time was stronger than her previous one. At least she had undergone real fire calcination, her body's flexibility and rigidity had been greatly enhanced, and her flexibility had naturally risen with it. Furthermore, he thought of another problem. He is controlled by his mind, more precisely by his soul power. Is it because of my soul power that she changed? That's why she's stronger than strong. Her melee fight is obviously not easy. A person-level cricket can support me for so long, and this cricket is obviously not simple. Yi Chen groaned while circling around the symbols. The night was getting deeper, and he offered a real fire to temper Zi Zan's body so that Zi Zan's body could reach the highest. After doing this, he writhed in the storage bag, and finally found a woman's white dress. Well, it's just right. After a gesture on Zi Zan's body, Yi Chen found that the white dress fit Zi Zan's body perfectly. Although it is a cricket, after all, it is a son-in-law. He wears a black dress all day, like a killer. Come, I will change it for you. Then, Yi Chen will step forward and take off Zi Xuanyuan's dress. In black. However, as soon as he untied Zi Zan's belt, he stopped. It's not good. Yi Chen could not help but cough. Again, although Zi Zan is a puppet, she is a son-in-law after all, just so brightly and giving him a feeling of evil, he looks like a robber. After all, he stopped. Although he was Zi Zan's master, he couldn't be too lawless, right? After less than a quarter of an hour's rest, the two started fighting again. This time, he inserted a spirit sword into Zi Zan's hand, and a spirit sword appeared in his hand. Hit. With his order, Zi Zan moved suddenly. Ha! The howling sounded, Zizan penetrated the air with Cheng Hong's sword, and approached Yi Chen's throat. Yi Chen was slightly surprised, because Zizan's sword was stronger than he imagined. This was in the absence of authenticity. If she had authenticity and the ability to perform mysticism, this sword would be extraordinary. LB. Suddenly, he waved his sword and jumped away from the head-on sword, then slashed away. Zizan's response was not slow. The sword front was slashed against his shoulder and escaped Yi Chen's sword. She launched another attack. The basic sword skill of the monk was almost all she knew. LB. 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 In the little spirit garden, the sound of the two swords colliding constantly. Yi Chen wasn't just trying out the strength of Zizan. In the fight, he also realized that day the sword array. As for the Tianjian sword formation, he realized that it was only fur. Because of this, his combat strength plummeted, and the robe on his body was constantly cut by the long sword in Zizan's hands. As the fighting continues, he is not without gain. At least, he has a deeper understanding of the Tianyi sword formation. Without using his true spirit, he can still dance to the sword shadows. Although these sword shadows are chaotic, they can be combined into a thin sword array. I do not know when, the two abandoned the long sword regardless of the order. The blood in the body quickly circulated, and the blood was boiling, and Yi Chen was like a fierce beast. Although Zizan was a tadpole, she was not weak in melee combat. One person's sorrow in the Yuan dynasty and one Yi Chen in the condensed spirit state, neither of them used the true energy, only to see the tricks with the most primitive melee kill. Tiger flutter, ape jump, roar, roar. Along with the roar of the two beasts, Yi Chen once again killed Zizan, and Ling Tian shot it with one palm. Zizan turned sideways and escaped dangerously. Also, Yi Chen smiled, and his knees came forward. Zizan waved her arm and patted it with one palm, blocking Yi Chen's knee. Don't underestimate me. Yi Chen's palm changed into an eagle claw shape, and one claw grabbed. Perhaps, because he was too fast, or because Zizan had only one arm and was unable to block it, Yi Chen's claw grabbed Zizan's chest in an unbiased manner. Yi Chen opened his mouth. Although he was separated by clothes, he could still feel the soft and delicate feeling from the palm of his hand. This may be the first time he caught a woman in such a gesture in action. This catch made Xiaolingyuan extremely silent. Snapped. Soon, a loud applause broke the silence here, and Yi Chen, who was still in the soft and delicate feeling, was shaken by Zizan Lingtian with a firm palm. Wow, sour. Yi Chen's entire body was beaten for a while, and I don't know what the illusion was. The power of Zizan's palm was obviously unexpected. His entire face was crooked, and his eyes could see Venus. It's just not over. He hadn't stood still, he had just looked up, and a jade fist met him, hitting his left eye with Venus full. Yi Chen's retreat. Yi Chen was beaten. Looking at Zizan again, I don't know if it was caused by an order or because of something else, and rushed up again, splitting his head and covering his face was a palm. Stop, stop, stop. Backward Yi Chen waved his hands in a hurry, using a secret method to stop Zizan's attack. Looking at Zizan again, the raised Yu Shou Shengsheng stopped in midair, and the direction of the fight was obviously Yi Chen's face. Yi Chen was determined that if he did not stop in time, Zizan would call his face with a big mouth. My mother is a good girl. Yi Chen shook her head, her face was hot, and one eye became a panda's eye. However, Zizan didn't react at all. She was so embarrassed by her master that she was just like nothing. Early in the morning, Shang'er and Tang Rushuan came over. Into the eyes, Shang'er saw Yi Chen, who was sitting in the fruit tree of Ling Bukchi, and when he saw Yi Chen's panda's eyes and the red palm seal on his face, he froze. What's the situation? Shang Eriao Yanner ran over and looked at Yi Chen with small eyes glowing. Whoever wins at you, his face is off. Don't talk, let me be quiet. Oh, Tang Rushuan on the side had already seen Zizan standing in the garden, and could not help but be surprised. Chapter 91, Peerless Face. You really bought your grandmother. In Xiaolingyuan, the sound of Shang Erxi screaming, "Where did you get the money?" is still a son-in-law. The goods twisted the plump body and turned around Zizan a dozen times. Hey, he looks pretty. Rubbing his chubby little hand, Shang-Er's eyes glowed, but it made Tang Rushuan reach out his small hand and twist it fiercely behind him. I'll let you take it easy. Oh, it hurts, it hurts. Girl Zan, do me a favor. Yi Chen has tossed the white dress over, change her clothes. You learn from others. Tang Rushuan stared at Shang-Er fiercely, then took the white dress and took Zizan toward the room. Shang-Er's sore teeth came to Yi Chen in a grin, and he looked at Yi Chen's panda's eyes and the face again. Who hit you? It didn't matter. Speaking of this, Yi Chen took a hard breath and his face looked strange and strange. He remembered the events of last night, he caught the chest in a dim way, and the later things were really embarrassed to explain. He didn't even lift his head. He strongly suspected that there was something wrong with Zi Xuanyuan, especially when she hit her hand. That strength and speed were 3 times stronger than before, otherwise he would not be confused and could not find the north. Thinking of this, he also subconsciously looked at his hand, as if he could still smell the aroma of a woman from above. Lao Su didn't do it on purpose, and you've been ruthless. Yi Chen felt cursed, and Yi Chen felt ashamed like never before. Squeak. At this moment, the door opened, and Tang Rushuan walked out first, followed by Zizan who had just put on a white dress. Wow, Shang-Er's eyes suddenly turned on, and his mouth even drooled. Yi Chen couldn't help but look at it, and suddenly he was a little nervous. It's not that strange, just because the purple Zan who put on a woman's shirt is too beautiful, the white clothes are dangling, the 3,000 blue silk flows like a wave of water, and the peerless look is like a fairy in the world. Yes, but it is as lively as it is amazing. It's so beautiful. Yi Chen couldn't help whispering when he saw the fascination, but there was a sigh in her heart. A woman who secretly said that she was so beautiful would be turned into a trance. Why is she missing an arm? Tang Rushuan stared at Shang-Er fiercely and looked at Yi Chen in amazement. Yi Chen just woke up like a dream party, coughed, and just pulled a reason, cheap. I don't have enough money to tell me. Shang-Er jumped up. Don't you know that without an arm, your strength will be greatly reduced, so be it. I will lose a little, and sell this beautiful lady to me. Yi Chen yanked the corners of his mouth and glanced at Shang-Er who was still talking about this. What you say is so nice, isn't it because the son-in-law is beautiful? Don't be angry, if you can beat her, she is yours. Yi Chen said casually. Is this a good thing? Shang-Er rubbed his hands. Yi Chen's mind had moved, and Zizan, who was still, shot fiercely at Shang-Er. Don't be angry, but I will knock you down. Shang-Er already held his fist and started to work. The battle started instantly. Zizan's combat power surprised Shang-Er and Tang Rushuan. Yi Chen had already turned his head, and he could not bear to look at such a vicious side. Wada A! Wada A! The Xiaoling garden became lively. Shang-Er screamed incessantly. He was chased by Zizan's chasing all over the garden. His body was full of punches and footprints, and he was almost beaten. Tang Rushuan next to her was already in shock. She was in control of the puppet in the orchard. She knew that puppet's strength was far worse than that of ordinary people. But now seeing Shang-Er chasing around the garden, Rao is surprised by her fixation. Although Shang-Er didn't use his energy, but even so, defeating the human-level puppet was not a problem, but he was caught by this. The one-armed son-in-law beats miserably. Also a human-level puppet, but this beautiful one-armed son-in-law is too. Tang Rushuan was surprised and looked at Yi Chen with a toothpick hanging. Are you sure she is a human-level puppet? Human class, like fake replacement. That would be weird. Tang Rushuan muttered to himself. Wada A! With the sound of a ghost crying, howling Shang-Er, the whole thing was lifted out by Zizan, and Banban posted a whole large character on the ground. Yi Chen stepped in and stopped Zizan. You're savage, too. Shang-Er got up, one of his shoes in one hand covering his face, and limped over. Not long ago, he also ridiculed Yi Chen. At this moment, his form is more embarrassing than Yi Chen. Both the left and right faces are palm prints. The 2 small eyes have also become panda eyes. There are not many palm prints and boxing prints, said. Severely, sternly, Shang-Er cursed and grinned endlessly. It's pretty cruel. Yi Chen touched his swollen face subconsciously. Next, it's time for Tiger Baby Devil training. Ah. The Tiger Baby is full of warfare today, and when he is knocked down, he will get up immediately. After half an hour, he was not beaten better than Chang'e. When strong is strong, not far away, Chang'e could not help but exclaim when Yi Chen said what happened last night. I'm not sure, that's the feeling. Yi Chen groaned. Her fighting power is stronger than I expected. You're not going to be a landlord. It shouldn't be. Tang Rushuan shook his head lightly. The prefecture-level magpie can already perform some simple mysteries, and the vitality that supports mystery can be sealed in the body, but I checked it when I changed her clothes. There is no seal in her body. Quote. That's weird. Chang'e covered his face and grinned in pain. Ruzan, you seem to know you well. Yi Chen smiled and looked at Tang Ruzan. My master has been involved in the refining of poo, and I have heard it occasionally. Tang Rushuan revealed her clear little tiger teeth. If you can take your uncle to let my master see it. Let's talk about it after waiting at the outside door. Yi Chen said. Speaking of the outsider big game, Chang'e came together and said, I heard that this time the outsider big game, every disciple who participates has a chance to be resurrected. Is this still happening? Yi Chen was a little surprised. The main reason is that there was too much nonsense in the last time. Chang'e explained, now the top 10 disciples are all defeated in the last time. It is because they met a disciple who was overbearing. Last time, when they were outside the door, a lot of disciples who were weaker than them had entered the inside door. I have heard of this too, Tang Rushuan said. Last time, a lot of powerful disciples met in pairs, so that many powerful disciples were defeated. Luck is part of your strength. Yi Chen couldn't help sighing. So, the elders of the inner door have learned to be smart. Everyone has a chance to be resurrected. Even if the two strong men meet and someone is defeated, they still have the opportunity to break into the inner door. Meeting 2 by 2, that's a matter of character. Quote. Anyway, expect us not to meet in the big game. Chapter 92, Outside Door. In the early morning, the hospitable Guanghua poured over the Hengyuzong holy mountain, and the rolling Lingshan was shrouded in clouds and mist. From a distance, this place is dreamlike, and the entire Hengyuzongshi is like a fairyland on earth. At this moment, there are disciples in every cave house, and the tide-like figures converge towards Chengkan Pavilion. Chengkan Pavilion is already crowded. When Yi Chen led Hua into the room, it attracted too many people's eyes, with envy, jealousy, and hate. Yi Chen ignored it and took the tiger baby to the corner. This time the outside door was compared, and the tiger baby also signed up. Yi Chen did not expect the tiger baby to break into the inside door, but just wanted him to feel the atmosphere in advance. If you meet a great disciple, surrender, you know. Yi Chen touched Hua's small head. I understand. Rao is Yi Chen by her side, and Hua is still restless. He is the first time to see such a huge scene. Soon, as each disciple entered, Chengkan Pavilion became more lively. Ren Yangfeng's disciples are here. I don't know who shouted. Zhang Hao in white robes appeared in everyone's sight. Yi Chen whispered, and from the team of Yangfeng's disciples, he saw Qi Hao. It's only been a few days, you have been alive. Touching his chin, Yi Chen wondered if he would be beaten again if he met him. When Yi Chen looked at him, Ren Yangfeng's disciples also mostly looked at him, and his expressions were ruthless, especially Qi Hao, whose expression was beyond expression. Yi Chen glanced back and looked away. Di Yangfeng's disciples then arrived. Like Ren Yangfeng, they also looked at Yi Chen with a vicious look. After Di Yangfeng, Yi Chen saw Tian Yangfeng's disciples, but the team was led by a Xing Yi disciple who was at the top of the human world. He looked kind and at least not as arrogant as Ren Yangfeng. This person will not be the number 1 disciple in the legend of the outside world. Yi Chen was a little surprised. His cultivation is not as good as Zhang Hao. He is not the number 1 disciple in the outside. A voice sounded beside him. Yi Chen looked subconsciously, only to find that there was a young man lying sideways on the seat. He was embarrassed, his clothes were disheveled, and his hair was a little messy. The temperament of the whole man was unbridled. It's so subtle. Looking at this young man, Yi Chen's eyes flashed with surprise, and he couldn't see the young man's cultivation. Belch. When Yi Chen looked at him, the young man drank a wine goblet and was drunk. This person is not simple. He murmured to himself. Yi Chen defined this. The disciples of Jialudang have arrived, too. Yin Jiping led a group of disciples in. He was as tall as ever, shaking the folding fan lightly, and looked very personable, causing the screams of many female disciples. Like Zhang Hao in the purple shirt, Yin Jiping also found Yi Chen's figure in the crowd, and then he never forget to cast a playful and ruthless look. Sooner or later annihilate you. Yi Chen's eyes were cold, staring at them without falling into the wind. Next, Wang Lin, the first disciple of Ling Orchard, Xiao Jing, the disciple of Law Enforcement Hall, Lu Zonner, the first disciple of the Book Collection Pavilion, Huo Teng, the first disciple of the Mission Library, and Qi Yu of the Lingdan Pavilion also led the disciples. In this way, most of the disciples who participated in the outside contest were present. Soon, an auspicious cloud flew from all directions in the void, and the first of the 3 gates and 8 pavilions of the outer gate, 1 hall, and 2 parks arrived. Then, 3 magic rainbows came in the direction of the inner door and stood on the clouds. Yi Chen's eyes brightened when he saw the person. Because of the 3 coming, he knew 2 of them. Isn't that the first Chu Xuaner and Yu Zhanfeng's main style without trace? As for the 3rd person, it is Tian Zhan Feng Zhu who ranks first among the 9 main peaks of the inner door. Heng Yizong attaches great importance to outsiders. Yi Chen hissed, in Zhengyang Zong, it is not so strict. While talking, Yi Chen felt that someone was watching him, needless to say that Chu Xuaner was standing in the clouds. Don't forget the test I gave you. Chu Xuaner's beautiful eyes were sparkling, flashing moving light. Yi Chen was full of joy. Understand. Yi Chen grinned. With a buzz, a ray of light burst into the void and turned into a huge compass filled with brilliance, which was engraved with the names of the disciples who participated in the outside door comparison. This compass was drawn immediately, and what was needed was fairness. This also shows that the disciples who participated in the out-of-doors contest did not know who their opponents were about to meet. The outside door is big, start now. With the loud voice of Dao Zan's real person in the sky, everyone's eyes were on the compass in the air. The huge compass had turned, flashing a dazzling spirit, and it stopped slowly until the 2 auras fell down separately. Who's selected? Soon, the disciples looked at both sides. One side fell on the side of Ren Yangfeng's disciple, and after a closer look, it turned out that Qi Yun, a disciple of Qi Hao, a cousin from the Qi family in southern Xinjiang, had come to practice. As for the other party, he was facing Ren Yangfeng and hesitated carefully. Wasn't it the tiger baby beside Yi Chen? Well, is that the kid of Hua? A surprise sound came quickly around him. Yi Chen did not suffer less for him. But compared to Yi Chen, his strength is far worse. Listening to the discussion around, Yi Chen patted Hua's shoulder lightly and smiled. Don't be afraid, do your best. I'm not afraid. Hua nodded heavily. I won't lose to anyone who loses to him. The elder brother can defeat his brother. I can also defeat him. I will never give you a shame. Quote. Yi Chen smiled slightly, but did not speak. Opposite, Qi Yun has jumped onto the stage with ease. Originally, he also came to feel the atmosphere in advance. When he met a strong disciple, he would automatically confess his defeat, but he never thought that the opponent he chose was actually a tiger baby, which caused him to lift his chin high, and his eyes were full of provocation. Afraid of losing? You don't need to come up. The thick tiger baby flashed a cold light in his eyes and immediately turned over and jumped onto the platform. The 2 were similar in age, both were 12 or 3, but they caught everyone's attention all around. The fight between the 2 little guys might be interesting. Why, the waist is stiff today. Qi Yun looked at Hua up and down with a playful smile and laughed. Can't forget the day when I was on the Fengyan platform, I was so full of teeth. Quote. You don't talk nonsense, come on. Hua snarled and took out his iron rod. Stick. The tiger baby took out the black iron rod, causing a strange sound around. It's not good to repair, but we need to repair sticks. I think he will lose a lot of money. Qi Yun is a member of the Qi family in southern Xinjiang. He has a lot of talent. I think so too. Chapter 93, Tiger Baby vs Qi Yun. In the debate, the tiger baby has moved. The black iron rod made a dull noise when it hit the air, and Ling Tian hit him with a stick. Vulnerable. Qi Yun sneered, leaning slightly to the side, and the iron rod slumped against his body, then turned his palm and patted Hua. Tiger Baby undefended, carrying Qi Yun with one hand. But he wasn't idle either, swiping a black iron rod in his hand and hitting Qi Yun firmly with a stick. In a one-on-one showdown, the two have their own wins and losses. Boy, you're looking for death. After being hit by a baby, Qi Yun's face suddenly turned vicious, and he immediately waved his hands and shot 3 sharp swords. When the Tiger Baby saw this, he hurriedly waved the iron rod. LB, 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 he blocked all 3 swords. And at this moment, Qi Yun had already come out and shot it with one palm. Tiger Baby hurriedly blocked in front of him. LB. Qi Yun slapped his palm on the black iron rod, and the shocked Hua retreated. Positive regret, he still fell under the wind. Then Qi Yun's cultivation is 2 times higher than him, and more vigorously cultivated by the family, but not a Tiger Baby can be compared. LB. LB. On the battlefield, Hua tried everything to resist, but still couldn't stop Qi Yun's offensive, steadily defeated, unable to turn over. Look, I'll tell you, whispered again below, in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before he loses. This gap is too big. I still use sticks, it's not undefeated. Compared to these people, Yi Chen sat indifferently. Even if the Tiger Baby lost, he did not feel shame, because the two of them are not a level, whether they are cultivated as a family or a family. Also lost on the starting line. Boom. On the battlefield, Hua lost again and was vomited by Qi Yun. However, the ugly look on the face of Hua is not there in the imagination. He is honest, his face is calm, and he spends most of his time defending. However, he who had been tempered by Yi Chen's true fire in his previous fight with Zizan, his ability to resist is not only as simple as Ning Qi triple, this is also his unbeatable passive beating for so long. A factor. Are you still undefeated? Qi Yun drank, the sword in his hand continued, and the fist shadow print never stopped. The Tiger Baby didn't say a word, and still tried her best to dance the black iron rod in her hand. I do not know when the black iron rod in his hand changed, and while dancing, there were ghost images. Although these ghost images were chaotic, they also gathered according to some rules, and the defense slowly improved in the war. With the stick array, Shu Fu on the cloud revealed his astonishment, as if he had seen some clues from Tiger's stick method. This little guy is not simple. Chu Shuiner whispered a smile. From the start to the present, his look is surprisingly calm. Compared with Qi Yun's Qi Yun, his mind is more calm and calm. He's dormant, ready to counterattack. The law enforcement temple first ringed his beard gently. Sure enough, the battle situation on the stage changed, and the Tiger Baby who had been passively beaten began to play a lot of offensive tactics in defense. Compared to him, Qi Yun's breath became disordered, and he continued to use mystic techniques to make his vitality lack. The number of attacks and the number of defenses increased. As a result, at the end of the war, the defensive Tiger Baby turned into an offense, and Qi Yun, the fierce offensive between them, became the defensive side at this moment. Damn it, Qi Yun's somber and scary face, sometimes waiting for an opportunity to shoot, but always blocked by Hua's weird club formation. Tiger Baby, I really look down on you. Offstage, Yi Chen smiled slightly. Hua's persistence on the stage for so long is unbeaten, which has surprised him, but now there is a tendency to turn the downwind into the upper hand, which really exceeds his expectations. LB. On the stage, the Tiger Baby struck out with a stick and snorted Qi Yun back. Wada. Qi Yun roared and slashed out with a sword. LB. His sword, however, was split on the dancing stick of the Tiger Baby, and he was shaken open on the spot, and his entire arm was shaken. He relied only on the black iron rod in his hand. Just then, a misty voice passed into Qi Yun's ear. Qingyang, only once. On the cloud, although the real person in Dao Zan closed his eyes, he still warned the real person in Qingyang. It seems that the first person who transmitted the voice to Hua was the first person in Yangfeng, Qingyang real people. Being secretly warned, Qingyang's real person hurriedly received the transmission. However, because of his previous transmission, Qi Yun seems to have found the flaw in the Tiger Baby, which is the black iron rod in his hand. With a sneer, Qi Yun instilled his vitality into the spirit sword in his hands and was ready to go. The tiger baby has come over with a stick. Broken. Qi Yun snorted and waved the sword in his hand, colliding with the black iron rod. LB. On the spot, the tiger baby groaned back, and the black iron rod in her hand was also shaken out. Seeing this, Yi Chen under the stage frowned, and the black iron rod was the support of the tiger baby, and he only practiced the stick. The others were basically blank. Without that iron rod, you have nothing to rely on. The roar sounded on the stage. Qi Yun rushed like a fierce beast, and the sword in his hand waved frequently. Puff, puff, puff. Soon, bloodstains appeared on the tiger baby's body, and he was beaten continuously. However, the look of the tiger baby is still calm. This calmness of nature makes the elders on the cloud can't help showing a mild smile. Those who watched the battle on the quartet's stage also became interested at this moment. Who would have thought that the battle between the two young boys who had not yet dried out would be so protracted, and the offense and defense would change constantly? Qi Yun's breath is a little disturbed. Hua's kid is not much better, and he was not hurt. Without that black iron rod, it's pretty much turning over. In the debate, the tiger baby has been forced to the edge of the battle platform. Don't admit defeat. Qi Yun came with a sullen expression on his face, and the long sword in his hand blew, and his shot was a sword through Cheng Hong. Puff. Blood splattered, and the long sword pierced the tiger baby's shoulder. The tiger baby spit out blood, and clenched Qi Yun's sword with both hands. Seeing this, Qi Yun also became fierce, holding the sword handle in both hands, exhausting his strength to stab the tiger baby's body. For a moment, the two were deadlocked here, Hua holding the sword's edge, Qi Yun holding the hilt, and they were struggling to confront each other. Tiger baby, okay, don't fight. Yi Chen, after all, couldn't sit still. After that, he was afraid that the baby's foundation would be damaged. Big brother, I said, I won't give you shame. Tiger baby's mouth was gushing blood, insisting on his teeth, the small face was full of stubbornness. In the spotlight, Hua raised his forehead slightly, and then slammed into Qi Yun's forehead fiercely. Boom. The sound of the forehead collision was particularly clear, breaking the silence on the scene. Such a scene, including Yi Chen, could not help but look moved. Chapter 94, Fiery. Wada A. The screams rang throughout Chengkan Pavilion. Qi Yun never expected that Hua would hit him with his head, so that his forehead became bloody. In such a short moment, Hua stepped forward violently and bumped Qi Yun back with his body. Give me back. Taking another step closer, Hua grabbed Qi Yun's arm. Then, the backward Qi Yun was completely dumped by the tiger baby. Boom. With a dull sound spreading across the Chengkan Pavilion, Qi Yun was slammed onto the stage by the tiger baby, and the hard bluestone slabs were cracked and cracks appeared. Such a scene made many people's hearts stunned. How familiar the game is, some people empathize, and some people show their ruthlessness. How many of them are disabled by Yi Chen's fall on the stage? It's not that Yi Chen brought it out, even the posture of falling people is so much. These guys in Qian are probably unable to stand up. Stand up. You have burned the incense without being killed. On the clouds, Xingyang's face was gloomy. Qi Yun was his disciple, and he would be defeated by a condensed triplet. Among them was his secret help. Now Qi Yun lost, and his old face suddenly became hot. On the stage, Qi Yun had passed out, and the entire internal organs had been moved. Looking at Hua again, he is already a blood man, shaking on the stage, as if a gust of wind can blow him down. Until now, individuals can see who has won in this war. Tiger baby, win. With the voice of Union Yun, Yi Chen and the opposite Qi Hao rushed to the stage without distinction. Damn, Qi Hao, you looked at Hua and Yi Chen. Losing is losing. Can't you afford to lose? Yi Chen chuckled coldly, holding Hua off the stage. Looking at the tiger baby in his arms, Yi Chen showed a smile of relief. The reason why this kind and stubborn boy won is not because of his strength, but because of his belief that he will win in his bones. Brother, I didn't shame you. You are excellent. The two sides stepped down, but the spectators all around were intent on it. Who would have thought of the confrontation between the two boys? It would be so exciting. Back to the stage, Someone had come to take the tiger baby away. It was unavoidable that the outside door was damaged. In order to avoid unnecessary injuries, Zongmin would send someone to heal them. After a duel, the huge compass rose in the air again. Soon, the two auras fell down one after another, falling in one direction of Diongfeng and Lingdan Pavilion, and more precisely on Qi Yu's body. Opposite, when the disciple Di Yangfeng met, his face was called a tangle. How can this fight? Elder, I abstained. The disciple of Di Yangfeng immediately raised his palm, and sat back again, so that Qi Yu had not even opened his eyes, and he had become a winner. There is no suspense, and naturally will not usher in applause. Everyone has looked at the compass. Above the compass, two more auras fell down, one in the direction of the disciple of the library, and one in the direction of the disciple of Ren Yangfeng. Take a closer look. Su Xinyue. Seeing Su Xinyue, the atmosphere at the scene was stirred up again. There is a disciple with the 8th heaviest disciple, who is a little lower than Su Xinyue. The battle was still quite hot. Su Xinyue cheered with his elegant figure and mysterious skills, and won the match with absolute strength. In a sense, it was regarded as a resurgence of Yang Feng. 1 round. The outside goal was bigger than the 5th game. Shang shouted and screamed into the stage, grabbed his mace, and lifted a disciple from Tianyangfeng up. In the 6th game, Yi Chen saw Qi Hao. It seemed that he had been stimulated. He was abnormally perverted. He almost killed a disciple of the law enforcement hall with a sword, causing the first law enforcement hall to be sullen. In the 7th game, Zhao Long of Ren Yangfeng came to power, and it turned out to be Wei Yong of Tian Yangfeng. This is fresh. Someone whispered, they have been beaten by Yi Chen on Fengyuntai, and today they will become the party of the showdown. In this battle, Wei Yong won, but he also won. In the next few games, the progress was exceptionally fast, because many of the top 10 disciples in the outside world were killed, and the soldiers won the duel without any blood. In the 97th game, Yi Chen saw the disciple named Li San in Lingsao Garden. This may be the most outrageous defeat in this year's outdoor games. After taking office, without saying a word, they flew out with a slap. Yi Chen strongly suspected that the uncle was doing too much love for men and women. Although he was a monk, his body was dead. During this period, all the people he knew were selected in layers, such as Song Yu and Wang Heng who had been robbed by him, as well as the Tang dynasty where he fell to death, and Shang Er's wife, Tang Rushuan. The battle was extremely fierce, and the climaxes were repeated. During the period, there were frequent dark horses. A young boy with a condensed spirit in the library defeated one person in the commandment hall, and a female disciple in a spirit orchard. The charm of charm is to fascinate a male disciple in the task cabinet. The battle on the platform was fierce, and the elders on the clouds were secretly fighting. Each disciple who came to power on behalf of the face of one elder in the first seat, his disciple won, his face was light, and his disciples lost. They will lose their faces, so that the faces of several elders are like tricks. Yes, it will be sunny for a while. The inner door Qianshuan Fengfeng's main Dao Xuanzhenren opened his eyes a few times, narrowed his beard, and showed a mild smile. Fortunately, there are very few true disciples meeting this year. Could Brother Dao Zan think of the last outside contest? Shu Fu smiled slightly. After hearing that, Dao Zan really waved his hand gently. Don't mention the last time. The head teacher and brother also talked to me for this. The last outside contest was probably the most weird one since the founding of Heng Yu. Not to mention, quote, now that you have a resurrection match, what are you worried about? Wanbao Pavilion's huge C twisted his neck. If there are two true disciples meeting in the resurrection match, I can only show that he has a good character. Luck is also a part of strength. Chu Shuaner whispered a smile. Under the stage, Yi Chen closed his eyes and raised his eyes, and sometimes he opened his eyes and glanced at the young man who had a good sleep after drinking. At this point in the war, none of the aura on the compass fell on him. Don't forget this compass, muttered in a low voice. Yi Chen could not help looking up at the huge compass floating in the air. As soon as his words fell, and just as the battle on the stage ended, the compass buzzed and then slowly turned. Soon, the two auras fell down, and Yi Chen watched as the purple aura hit him. In the end, the hanging aura really fell on him. After all, it's me. After twisting a bit of a stiff body, Yi Chen's blood for almost a day's silence suddenly boiled a little. When he looked at another person hit by the aura, the corner of his mouth suddenly sneered. It's better to hit the sun than to choose another day. He sneered again, and he patted his seat and jumped onto the platform. As for the other person who hit with the aura, he also jumped onto the stage at the same time as Yi Chen. That was a disciple in a white robe with dark hair and strong momentum. As soon as he stepped on the stage, it caused everyone in the audience eyes. This person, take a closer look, isn't it Yin Jiping, the first disciple of Jialutang? Chapter 95. Enemies Meet, Jealous. Yi Chen. Yin Jiping. Seeing Yi Chen's succession in power, the quartet suddenly caused a stir. Yin Jiping, needless to say, but that was the first disciple of Jijitang. 1 foot has already stepped into the real sun, and he is definitely one of the top 10 disciples in the outside world. And Yi Chen, his coming to power, has attracted everyone's attention. This intern disciple who did not know where to come from, has never been a day since Heng Yizong. The 3 main peaks of the outside door, he provoked too, all the way to the call, disciples who were beaten by him. It is not in the minority. It's too heavy to kill, you won't be able to achieve a positive result. Under the stage, Su Xinyue is still this hateful word. Compared to her, those who were defeated by Yi Chen, such as Qi Hao and Tang Dynasty, were also scary, and like Zhe Hong and Qing Yang, their faces had already become extremely gloomy. It's wonderful this time, many people have sat upright, looking at the stage with their eyes bright. Yin Jiping has calculated Yi Chen more than once. It's strange that the sky is dark when not playing. Yin Jiping, but one stepped into the real sun, and Yi Chen is stronger. Can he do it? Others may not be, but Yi Chen may be. Around the stage, there were all talking voices. Before the war started, the atmosphere was brought to a climax. Even the slutty young man sitting next to Yi Chen couldn't help but open his eyes and glanced over at this moment. On the clouds, Zhao Zhujing, the First Commandment Church, has gently scratched his beard, and the eyes in his eyes are beyond doubt, that is, the disciples he taught, no one can defeat. Shimei, is he Yi Chen? Dao Zan looked at Yi Chen below and looked at Chu Zan'er again. It can cause such a sensation at the scene, except who else he is. Chu Xuaner chuckled and couldn't help but glance at Yi Chen and murmured, "Little guy, it's not that simple to want to be my disciple." Quote. On the battlefield, Yi Chen and Yin Jiping were facing each other far away. No war had ever started, and the momentum was already rising. Yin Jiping's mouth has already appeared a playful smile. Yi Chen, when you meet me, you are destined to be sad. Maybe it's your sorrow, maybe. Yi Chen sneered and looked at Yin Jiping, not imposing. Yi Chen, lie on him. With the whistle of Shang-Erxi, Yi Chen and Yin Jiping moved in sequence. Zhang Guangyan, Ben Lei Pong, up, the two of them used mystery. Boom. With one blow, the two went backwards, and each time they stepped back, they would tell that the bluestone slabs under their feet stepped on cracks. I look down on you. Yin Jiping sneered, and immediately printed with one hand. Suddenly, with him as the center, the aura between heaven and earth became agitated, condensed into a multitude of sword shadows at the fastest speed. Yu Jian Fei Xian, with Yin Jiping's frivolity, the sword shadows screamed and moved, forming a wind, such as a violent wind, such as heavy rain, and shot at Yi Chen madly. Heavenly Sword Array. Yi Chen had already moved, and he took out his Qishao sword and waved it as far as possible. With him as the center, the sword shadows flew and aligned with each other to form a sword array, protecting him in the center. LB, LB, LB. Soon, the sound of a metal collision rang, and Yin Jiping's imperial sword Fei Xian's sword shadow violently impacted Yi Chen's heavenly sword array. This is the second trick, and the two used such a huge mystery, and the disciples' eyes were shining. This sword array is similar to the stick array played by the former Tiger Baby Boy. Good boy, isn't it easy? Chu Xuaner smiled sweetly. There was a buzz from the stage. Yi Chen's Tianjian sword formation was broken, and Yin Jiping's imperial sword Fei Xian's sword shadow was all scattered. Change me this time. Yi Chen sighed sharply. Qishao sword waved, pointing away at Yin Jiping. Ha, ha. Suddenly, The Tianjian sword formation that had just been broken up reunited again, but instead of defending, it attacked the sword formation. There were too many sword shadows, which also made the scalp numb. Mystic Shield. Yin Jiping had quickly printed his hands, and there was an aura of light in front of him, and then he condensed into a thick shield, protecting him behind him. LB, LB, LB. It was the sound of continuous metal impacts, but this time, Yi Chen was attacked and Yin Jiping was defensive. The dark shield condensed by Yin Jiping seems to be so strong that Yi Chen's attacking sword formation can't break it. Seeing this, Yi Chen came down with mysterious footwork, and the vital energy in his body quickly flowed into his fist. Broken. With a loud roar, Yi Chen shook the mountain with a punch and fiercely blasted on that mysterious shield. Click. A crisp sound sounded. Yin Jiping's solid black shield was smashed by Yi Chen's punch, and Rao was also shocked by the stunned back. It can break the mystic shield. Yin Jiping stepped back quickly, his face was a little gloomy. Broken mountain finger. During the retreat, he kicked the ground violently, his backward body suddenly turned into a forward charge, and a finger point toward Yi Chen. Puff. Yi Chen was instantly poked out of a blood hole in his shoulder. Return your finger. Yi Chen raised his hand, pours his energy into his fingers, and a volley finger poked out a blood hole in Yin Jiping's body. Kill. War. One move had their own wins and losses, and the two fought again. LB. Boom. Bang. On the battlefield, such voices are endless, and the eyes of the disciples watching them are shaking left and right as Yi Chen and Yin Jiping fight. The ninth gas is ninth, this combat power is 2. On the cloud, Dao Zan shouted. From the perspective of the two brothers, who will win? Chu Xuaner looked at Dao Xuanzhen and Yu Zhanfeng. It's hard to say. Dao Zan real man frowned his beard and groaned. But I think Yin Jiping has a better chance. After all, one foot has already stepped into the real sun. I prefer Yi Chen, the little baby. Feng Wuzhen, who has always been quiet, said something. Boom. There was a roar on the stage again, and the two of them refused to give up. Zhang Guangyan, Ben Lei Palm, Kangshan technique, shaking mountain fist. This matchup was absolutely stunning. Over 100 rounds of war did not result in a winner. Come. Yi Chen had just stopped his body shape. Yi Chen was like a tiger from the mountain, full of blood and fighting spirit, fighting for so long, although the real energy decreased rapidly, but it was fiercer and fiercer, without any fatigue. Boom, boom. The roar continued, and he was beating all the way. What a freak this kid is. At the end of the war, Yin Jiping's face was gloomy and scary. He was beaten continuously, his blood was tumbling, his blood was coughing, and Yi Chen's difficulty was far beyond his expectation. Jumping back sharply, he turned out and took out a big knife, and then filled it with anger. The big knife instantly glowed, and thunder and lightning covered it. That's a few directions from the audience. Many true disciples were shocked. I wondered what secrets Yin Jiping was going to perform. Thunder and stab knife. With the roar of Yin Jiping, a sword full of 3 feet long hacked. Seeing this, Yi Chen suddenly stood still, turned his hands to take out the tentacles, clasped his hands, and stood in front of him. LB. That horrible swordman slammed on the maggot that day. Click. Vaguely, Yi Chen's legs were bent down, the bluestone slabs under her feet were cracked, her arms were shocked, and the body was tumbling with blood, and then a blood spurted out. Good domineering mystery. There was a sigh of excitement below, and if they could not stop Yin Jiping's blow. Being the first disciple of the Precepts Church is not that simple. It can actually block the thunder and slashing knives. Yi Chen, you are really surprised me. Under the stage, Qi Yu's face was full of surprise, as if I knew that Yin Jiping's thunder and slashing knives were overbearing. Not dead yet. Seeing Yi Chen still standing upright, Yin Jiping's face suddenly became brutal. Yi Chen is like an undefeated Xiaoqiang. Until the battle, he has not been able to defeat Yi Chen even with his famous stunts, making him mad. Come again, Yin Jiping said coldly, shaking his sword again, and wanted to use the thunder and sword again. I have suffered a loss, do you think I will give you a second chance? Yi Chen's cold voice came. Chapter 96. Kong Long Shen Wei. He was thrown from a distance by a huge maggot, pointing his sword directly at Yin Jiping, but he followed closely with the mysterious footsteps of Shuang Thousand Fantasy. Seeing Tian Yan flying, Yin Jiping gritted his teeth and knew that Yi Chen would not give him a second chance. If he forced the show at this moment, he would be hit by Tian Yan on the spot. After thinking about it, he also gave up the use of thunder and slashing knives, but repulsed and then retreated. Roar. The beast's roar suddenly sounded. Yi Chen rushed forward, leapt, the beast's angry ape jumped upstairs, and instantly bullied himself in front of Yin Jiping. Look for death. Yin Jiping snorted coldly, chopping the sword. Who doesn't have to die yet? Yi Chen sneered, sneering sideways, and the big knife was chopped past his body. It's my turn. With a swift drink, Yi Chen backed up with a sigh of Yin Jiping's pat. Roar, roar, roar. On the battlefield, the roar roared inexplicably, accompanied by every move of Yi Chen. Another beast that came down the mountain, sometimes like a tiger, sometimes like a fierce ape, sometimes like a lion, sometimes like a wolf, grabbed, patted, torn, used hands, feet, knees, shoulders, and every joint on his body became fierce. Weapon. It's this way of playing again. Around the audience, there were sounds of surprise, as if they knew Yi Chen's weird and overbearing fight. Nice mysterious close combat. At this moment, Rao Shidao's real people were shocked. Jin Qi is the 8th most important thing, and he has such an overbearing practical ability. This kid is really not easy. Lord Yu Zhanfeng couldn't help but marvel. Little guy, you're really surprised me. On the one side, Chu Shuner also looked beautiful. Wada A. On the battlefield, Yin Jiping roared endlessly. He shed his hair, and under Yi Chen's overwhelming and swift attack, he couldn't lift his head under the pressure. He had long heard that Yi Chen was another overbearing close killing technique, but he was arrogant. He never thought of Yi Chen in the condensed state, thinking that it was just an outsider's deliberate exaggeration. At this moment, he really realized that Yi Chen's overbearing close combat killed him, and the rumors of the outside door were true. Puff, puff, puff. Blood continued to spit. Yin Jiping's defeat was like a river breaking the bank. His body was filled with fist marks, palm prints, and footprints. Rao was 1 foot in the true sun, and he couldn't carry Yi Chen. Terrorist attack. On the clouds, Yin Jiping A.'s teacher, Zhao Zhujing, was unable to sit still. Yin Jiping was the first disciple of his commandment hall and even his most proud disciple. He would be so miserable at this moment. Get away from him. In an anxiety, Zhao Zhujing still sent a voice to Yin Jiping, otherwise Yin Jiping was defeated by a condensed state, that would be a sweep of his face. Okay. Dao Zan really seems to have captured his voice, glanced at Zhao Zhujing, and Shen Sheng said, only once, not as an example. Sure enough, after getting the master's voice, Yin Jiping fought against Yi Chen with a few punches, and quickly backed away from Yi Chen. Have you escaped? Yi Chen didn't chase, but his whole body was instilled in his right hand, and there were thunder and lightning tears between his fingers. Before he could hit them, he could faintly hear the deep dragons moan. Kong Long. With Yi Chen's roar, he pushed out with one palm. Roar. Suddenly, the violent dragon chant sounded, and an imaginary golden dragon shadow roared out of the violent gas and went straight to the backward Yin Jiping. This. Yin Jiping discolored, looking at the shadow of the oncoming dragon with an uncontrollable look. That powerful momentum, if he was really heading towards a raging dragon, he was no matter what inaccessible. What is this mystery? The audience was full of shock. Good domineering. Did me that day, and he didn't do everything in his power. Chi Yu, shocked again, didn't know that Yi Chen still had such an overbearing secret. Compared to him, several other top 10 disciples have also shown shock. If they may find it difficult to take such a domineering attack, especially Zhang Hao and Zishan. Their faces are ugly. Not only the disciples, but the elders who were in the clouds at the moment were also surprised. It hurts. Zhang Laodao of Tianyang Peak covered his chest again, and the faces of Zhe Hong and Qing Yang could only be described as gloomy. Shimei, you still have a bad eye. Dao Zan said with a smirk on his face. He has a Kung Dragon secret technique, and there are few outside doors that can handle it. To be honest, I was also surprised. Chu Shuner smiled, and Yi Chen's combat strength had greatly exceeded his expectations. Looking at the battle platform, the backward Yin Jiping had been knocked over by Yi Chen Kang Long and flew out. During the flight, he spit blood several times, his bones were broken, and the meridians were broken. A lot. While you are ill, I want you to die. On the stage, Yi Chen rushed forward. In the spotlight, at the moment Yin Jiping was about to land, he grabbed one of his legs. In the audience, many disciples have covered their eyes, as if knowing what will happen next. Boom! The roar soon sounded. Yin Jiping, who was clutching his legs, was completely stunned by Yi Chen, and then fell the platform. The hard platform was smashed into a human shape. Puff! Yin Jiping sprayed blood again, and the entire internal organs were shifted. The blood that was spit out also contained small pieces of the liver. Let you count me. With a roar, Yi Chen slammed Yin Jiping again, and threw it on the platform for the second time. Hurt my loved one, it. Reverse black and white, it. Despise human lives, it. Yi Chen didn't say a word, she would say Yin Jiping stunned, and then slammed on the battle platform. Boom, boom, boom. The sounds rang through the entire Chengkan pavilion, and every time the sounds came, they would make the hearts of the spectators discouraged. If they were replaced, they would have been shattered. What a grudge is this? The crowd was just staring at the side like that. At this moment, even Chu Xuner was horrified for a while. He had never been to Yi Chen with a beautiful face and a thin body. He had such a fierce and sturdy side. Shuzi, can't stop. After all, Zhao Zhujing screamed and awakened everyone. If he fell again, Yin Jiping had to die on the spot. Enough. Dao Zan, who was startled by the violent side of Yi Chen, was in a hurry to stop. If this was a life-threatening, it would be his serious misconduct. Boom. Yi Chen fell for the last time, and then he stopped. He fell so hot and hearty. Looking at Yin Jiping again, he was not yet fainted. He was lying in that human-shaped pit with blood in his mouth. He looked at Yi Chen with an unbelievable face and wanted to move, but the bones and meridians of his body were broken. Looking at his posture, it is difficult to recover without lying in the bed for a few months, which also means that he cannot even participate in the resurrection match, let alone enter the inner door. This is the price to hurt my loved ones. Yi Chen said coldly, if they were not stopped by Dao Xuanjun, he would definitely destroy Yin Jiping today. Below, someone already came on stage and carried the half-dead Yin Jiping down, and Zhao Zhujing followed, and the most proud apprentice was beaten into this look, but he didn't think about it anymore. Yi Chen, win. With the loud voice of Dao Zan real person, Yi Chen jumped off the stage under the attention of everyone. This battle is thrilling and everyone is still thinking about it. Yi Chen, a conscientious apprentice disciple, has been unable to stop the strong rise. This outside door comparison, whether he can enter the inside door, must be a legend. Boy, you're ruthless. As soon as she sat down, Chu Xuner on the cloud heard a booing voice. Looking at the air, Yi Chenggan coughed, it is undeniable that I am a bit angry today. On hearing that, Chu Xuner rubbed his eyebrows subconsciously. Is this a bit big? I almost fell to the death of a child, you are going to God. Chu Xuner began to realize that if she accepted Yi Chen, a disciple who looks beautiful and strong, her inner door would be more lively than this outer door, and she, as a teacher, would also have a headache. With the end of the battle between Yi Chen and Yin Jiping, the first round of the outside competition was only concluded. This means that half of the disciples will go to the resurrection competition, and the disciples who won in the first round will continue the following test. The second round, the test, start. With the sound of Dao Zan's voice, the huge compass flashed brilliantly, and then turned to hang two auras. The two auras fell in two directions without distinction. I rely. Suddenly, a cursing sound was heard from the stage. The scolder was Zhang. No wonder he was so excited because one of the two selected this time was Zhang Hao, the first true disciple of Ren Yangfeng. As for the other, it was Yi Chen who had just fought blood. Chapter 97. Get up and fight. Come on, Zhang shouted loudly throughout the audience. And everyone looked at Yi Chen and cast a pitying look on him. The people present have witnessed the fierce battle between Yi Chen and Yin Jiping. Although Yi Chen won, he fell into a state of weakness. And that Zhang Hao, in the first round of the test, easily passed the level, basically no consumption, plus his strength was not weak. Yin Jiping, this matchup, from the beginning, meant that Yi Chen could not play. Seeing his opponent as Yi Chen, Zhang Hao of Ren Yangfeng has jumped onto the stage with ease, watching Yi Chen playfully go to the resurrection match. Off the stage, there was a disciple of each disciple smiling at Ren Yangfeng, and his words were not evasive. Make you crazy again. On the other side, Di Yangfeng's disciples followed. There is a kind of power. Around them, those disciples who had resentment with Yi Chen continued to scold. With Yi Chen's current state of weakness, there is no power to fight anymore. His luck is really bad, he has encountered 2 true disciples in succession. On the cloud, Chu Shuner could not help rubbing her eyebrows. She did not expect this result. So many disciples, so many possibilities, and so low probability can be hit by Yi Chen. This luck. Little guy, don't fight, go to the resurrection match. Chu Shuner sent a message to Yi Chen, although he did not want to. However, Yi Chen under the stage actually stood up, then turned over and jumped onto the stage. What's the matter? Is he still going to fight? You're blind, otherwise what would he run up to? It's too crazy. In the tide of the discussion, Yi Chen has put a Weishuanden in his mouth. Do you think I'll give you time to recover? Zhang Hao sneered across the road, immediately pinching a big seal. In this scene, Dao Zan watching them shook his head helplessly, and was a little disappointed with Zhang Hao. As the first true disciple of Ren Yangfeng, you will be at risk, and you will not dare to confront a condensed state fairly. Without the heart of the strong, there is no belief in that victory. Quote. Boom. On the stage, there was a roar, and Yi Chen was beaten constantly backing away. He had just gone through a **** battle and was still weak, not Zhang Hao's opponent at the peak. Just going through the period of weakness, I can defeat. With this belief in mind, Yi Chen kept dodging by the speedy and mysterious footwork and did not confront Zhang Hao directly. If the selected opponent is Qi Yu or Huo Teng, he will definitely abstain, but his opponent is Zhang Hao. Since it is Zhang Hao, he will not surrender if he is killed. He will go to the resurrection game after a big defeat. He has been struggling in his heart, and he will not lose to disciples of Liangfeng and Zhilutang. Puff. Yi Chen, who was constantly avoiding, took Zhang Hao's palm stiffly, vomiting blood. Yi Chen, when are you going to hide? The playful voice sounded quickly. Zhang Hao attacked again, giving Yi Chen no time to react and recover. Yi Chen didn't say a word, and still stepped on the mysterious footwork to avoid it. Seeing this, Zhang Hao became fierce, and his hands quickly moved his fingerprints. A secret technique similar to Yin Jiping's imperial sword flying fairy was exhibited. Ha, ha, ha. Immediately, the sky's sword shadows converged, and under the wave of Zhang Hao's big hand, Hemming shot at Yi Chen. When Yi Chen saw the situation, he was not using the defense of the sword of Tianyi, because if he did that, he would be pinned down by Zhang Hao, and then he would face Zhang Hao's uninterrupted secret technique. He was very thorough. Zhang Hao was trying to force him to hit it. I can see this, but naturally I will not do it. By virtue of the mysterious footwork of the Speed Shadow 1000 fantasy, the shadows behind him form a string, and the speed has reached the highest ever. Puff, puff, puff. Passive avoidance made him constantly injured, and the flying shadow of the sword left a trail of blood on him. Soon, his white robe was stained with blood red. Wind-bound art, forbidden. Zhang Hao once again performed the secret technique. Wow! The sound of the iron chain impact sounded. Yi Chen clearly felt the wind whizzing all around him, and in the whistling sound, several invisible wind chains condensed, entangled towards his body. Broken, he whispered. His body twitched with anger, opened the wind chain, and quickly fled back. Zanyang means. Zhang Hao came in a moment, bullied himself, and pierced a blood hole in Yi Chen's chest. Don't wait for Lao Su to take it easy. Yi Chen dragged the wounded body, avoiding back again. Have you escaped? Zhang Hao sneered, and Ling Tian's big palm print came down. Damn! Yi Chen cursed secretly, and had to move Tian Qian to stand in front of him. LB. Zhang Hao took a pat on the tentacle, and the trembling trembled, and Yi Chen holding the tentative sword was also shocked by the blood and receded. Zhang Hao continued to be hit by the sword's chi. You, fuck, shameless. Shang came out of nowhere, and he shook his hands with his hands on his hips, like a vixen scolding the streets. The spitting stars were flying all over the sky. They couldn't come to the stage to help, but only disturbed Zhang Hao's mind. As Ren Yangfeng's first true disciple, don't you have the courage to confront Yi Chen fair? Usually, you are so enthusiastic, why are you so persuaded now? It's so embarrassing to fight a half-dead condensate. The kung fu on Shang mouth was really not covered. He scolded them without stopping. However, his scolding was directly ignored in Zhang Hao's eyes, and his eyes are now extremely clear, that is, to defeat Yi Chen while he is weak, even if the means are despicable. Puff, puff, puff. On the battle platform, Yi Chen was bleeding blood constantly, and the people were shocked. However, with a weak half-dead state, he was able to persevere in dozens of moves in Zhang Hao without losing, and his strength surprised the audience. Opposite, Zhang Hao's face became harsh and his face became hot. Who he is, Ren Yangfeng's first true disciple, and the top 10 disciple outside the door, haven't won a half-dead condensed state for so long. Even if they win, they will lose their face. Thinking of this, a gleam of cold light flashed in his eyes, killing. I saw that he bit his finger, and the ***** finger wiped the sword of the sword, and then instilled it. Ha! Suddenly, the spirit sword screamed, the aura of light was full, and there was a horrible thunderbolt on it. Cheng Hong runs through the sun. With Zhang Hao's frivolity, he rushed like a ghost, with a sharp sword pointed directly at Yi Chen's chest. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes lightened. He clearly felt the horror of Zhang Hao's sword, which was definitely a mystery of killing. Between the flashes of light, he leapt sideways, but still hit. Puff! The blood splattered, and he avoided the chest to open, but the sword still penetrated his shoulder, and the thunderbolt lingering on the sword rushed into his body, tearing his veins. Puff! A spit of blood spurted out on the spot, and he slumped back out. Not dead yet, Zhang Hao was really angry, and rushed forward again with a sword. Puff! There was still blood splattering, but this time, it was Yi Chen who grasped his sword with his flesh palms. Suddenly looking up, Yi Chen's blood-red eyes flashed a sharp cold mang. You've been addicted, it's my turn. Chapter 98. Another true defeat. Ha! Yi Chen suddenly launched a force and flew Zhang Hao's sword out of his hand. Ben Lei. With a swift drink, Yi Chen waved a palm and hit out. Broken. Zhang Hao was furious and mysterious palms came up against it, but he was stunned and backed away. Here, Yi Chen's fists clenched tightly, the blood in his body was flowing rapidly, and his anger rushed out, slamming his hair and flying in the sky. After hiding for so long, the medicine of Wei Xuandan that he swallowed was finally completely discharged. Although he has not yet returned to the peak state, it is enough for him to defeat Zhang Hao. Actually, I was really carried over by him. There were surprises all around. Is this kid a demon? That's Ren Yangfeng's first true biography disciple. 1 foot has already stepped into Junyang. Good boy, you are giving me too many surprises today. The stunned Shu Xuaner's beautiful eyes on the cloud is amazed. Even if you lose, even if you can't get inside, you already have been my disciple. Quote. War. On the stage, Yi Chen whispered and shouted loudly. Wada A. Zhang Hao rushed like a mad dog, his face flushed. I was not angry or ashamed. The first true disciple of Yang Feng, not only did not defeat a half-dead condensate, but also made him survive the weakness. Great shame. Ben Lei Palm. Ren Yangchong. Between the words, the two had already stricken a blow, and they vomited blood backwards. Just after holding his shape, Yi Chen rushed like a fierce beast, and the play was abnormally brutal. He did not add any defense. Zhang Hao gave him a punch, and Zhang Hao gave him a palm. Hong Zhang Hao punched. This kind of wounded 1,000 self-destructed 800,000 cent, the audience watching swallowed. Is this crazy? Everyone thinks this way. Even if you recover a lot, you still have a serious injury. After such hard work, most of the time you fall down as Yi Chen. Yi Chen is really crazy. Her whole body hurts, her whole body pain is covered by that invincible war. He is like a tireless lion, which moves the most primitive beast in the body, and some just endlessly attack and then attack. Puff, puff. On the blood-stained battle platform, Zhang Hao was also crazy, and madly performed mystery. The ***** play of the two was even worse in the battle between Yi Chen and Yin Jiping, and many elders who watched the clouds snorted. Sister Shi, this apprentice you chose is crazy. Dao Zan really looked at Chu Xuaner beside him. This is not madness, but the invincible mind. It is invincible warfare. Chu Xuaner took a deep breath, and she was moved by the ***** seen on the stage for nearly 100 years. Kill, war. The roar on the stage continued, and what the spectators could see was that two mad people were going crazy for mysterious confrontation. Ben Lei Palm, people Yang Yin, a Yang Finger, Xiao Xiaoshu. This battle will last longer than everyone thinks. In the 300th move, the two flew upside down because of a blow to the mystery, and they fell into a pool of blood on the platform. Let's talk about Zhang Hao first. She has a shawl, a messy clothes, and is full of boxing and footprints. Looking at Yi Chen again, it can only be described as scary, covered with scars and bloody, like a demon crawling out of hell. At the end of the war, both of them were shaking, their lack of energy and exhaustion of their bodies left them powerless to perform any kind of mystery. This is the case, both of them are still rushing towards each other, and they do not use their energy. Some only have the most primitive hand-to-hand combat. If you hit me, I will give you a punch, and you cut me a sword. Lao Su will die back. The following battles are staged in this form. They are all at the end of the crossbow. Whoever can persist to the end is the winner. A conscientious intern disciple, what has supported you to the present? Chi Yu muttered under the stage, his expression moved again. You shout, you're going to win this time. Lao Su invites you to drink. Shang wandered around the stage, the sound of shouting never ceased. This is impossible. People such as Chi Hao, one by one, gritted their teeth. Yi Chen relied on a half-dead body to fight against a true disciple to this day and has been undefeated, and they have proven everything, and these people are destined to be unable to stand up again. This boy is doing a good job. Huo Teng, a group of top 10 disciples, showed a sigh of exclamation and arrogance, and thought he was inferior to Yi Chen. Boom, boom. On the stage, the two fell to the ground. I don't believe it. Zhang Hao roared into the sky, and staggered up again. Come. Yi Chen drank violently. This unbeatable Xiaoqiang also stood up stiffly. At this moment, the two were extremely weak and truly extreme, one wobbled and one shivered, as if a gust of wind could blow them down, and the hearts of the audience all mentioned their throats. After all, the two took a step forward, each punching. Boom, boom. Zhang Hao punched Yi Chen's left face in one punch, and Yi Chen punched Zhang Hao's right face in one punch. Puff. The two spouted blood and fell down. At the scene, everyone's eyes were gazed at the battle platform. None of them spoke and held their breath. The silence was terrible. Even if a needle fell on the ground, they could hear it. After 7 or 8 seconds passed, neither of them got up. Is this a tie? I look like I'm afraid I don't even have the strength to stand up. Whoever stands up is the winner. In the successive discussions, under the eyes of many people, there was really a blood-stained man climbing up the battle platform. His body was thin, his face was hazy, his body was bleeding, and his messy black hair covered half of his face. In the wind, his legs trembled and straightened, and his bent waist was lifted stiffly. The person who got up was naturally Yi Chen. At this moment, no one spoke anymore, because I didn't know what to say, but just looked at the ***** figure that might fall down, though. At this moment, many disciples bowed their heads in shame. Among them, Shu was stronger than Yi Chen, and his family was better than Yi Chen, but there were many others, but none could be as strong as Yi Chen. As for Zhang Hao, he had fallen into a fainting and had an unwilling look on his face. Yi Chen, win. With the sound of crickets passing down into the void, the silent audience remembered the tide-like cheers. With the applause like the tide, Yi Chen's stiff body fell down after all. Boy, Shang ran to the stage long ago, holding Yi Chen, who was about to fall, in his arms, then quickly backed down the battle platform, and ran towards the place where Chengkan Pavilion treated his disciples. Everyone made way for their tacit consent. Yi Chen. This name is destined to remain in the hearts of everyone. This internship apprentice since he came to Hengyuzong has created too many impossibility. Today, he at the top of the line has even lost Yongfeng and the commandments Tang's two true disciples left a legend. Chapter 99. Lie Down 2. A thrilling battle is over, with the compass turning again. The battle continues. It's just that the next few hundred battles, although they are also extremely hot, but compared to the battle between Yi Chen and Zhang Hao, it is really too bland. Time passed slowly, and the night had begun to dim with the fiery battle. Soon, in all four directions of Chengkan Pavilion, dazzling spirit beads ascended to the sky, shining in the dim sky as bright as day. This is the traditional rule of the outside door big no matter how long it lasts, the middle will not stop. In the back hall of Chengkan Pavilion, Yi Chen lay quietly on the bed, his face was pale as paper, his breath was faint, the blood spilled from the wound stained the sheets, and his handsome face sometimes showed pain. During this period, Chu Xuaner came to visit, cleared the meridians for Yi Chen, and then injected the healing elixir before leaving. It became quiet here. I do not know when a ghostly purple man appeared at Chengkan Pavilion. This man covered his face and could see that his eyes were mean in addition to ruthlessness, and sometimes there was a flash of cold light. Looking around, seeing no one, the talented person in Zi took out a panacea, then opened Yi Chen's mouth and stuffed it in. You're not dead yet this time. After taking Yi Chen with some elixir, the man in purple clothes sneered, then turned and disappeared into the room like a breeze. After he left, Yi Chen's body vibrated. Then, a raging atmosphere swept over his body, and then returned to calm. After 3 hours, Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes and sat up, covering his forehead. He had overbearing resilience. In just 3 hours, the wound was basically healed, but his breath was still unstable. Little guy, you're awake. On the one side, an elder of Chengkan Pavilion smiled gently. Elder, is Dobby over? Yi Chen rolled over and jumped off the bed. The second round of testing is still going on. Thank you, elder. It was too late to salute. Yi Chen stepped out of the room and went straight to the Tibi site. After he left, the elder Chengkan Pavilion sighed and shook his beard. His old eyes were full of astonishment. This kid's healing power is really terrible. He was so seriously injured, he recovered in just 3 hours. Weird, really weird. Quote. It is good. It is good. At this time, the stage was full of applause. The celebrities who fought on the stage were Hengyuzong celebrities. One was Hateng, the first disciple of the mission court, and the other was the top 10 of the gates. Carefully, it is not the first true biography disciple of Dongfeng shirt. The two were playing hot, both in the top 10 of the outside door, and the exciting battle caused a lot of noise below. To say that Huo Teng should be of the same type as Yi Chen, playing sturdy and overbearing, the purple hammer in his hand overflowed with Lingwei, tearing the thunder and lightning, and every time he shot, he could slam the purple shirt back. Compared to Hoden, the purple shirt was particularly embarrassed. Although they are all the top 10 disciples in the outside world, Hoteng's ranking is obviously higher than that of the purple shirt. Boom! With a thunderstorm, Huo Teng used mystery, and a huge purple gold hammer smashed into the air. The purple shirt tried its best to resist, but was still kneeled on the ground by the purple shirt. Hoden, win! As Dao Zan's voice rang through the entire Chengkan Pavilion, after Yin Jiping and Zhang Hao, the true disciple of Zishan also lost, and he could only try again in the resurrection match. At this time, with the rotation of the compass, Yi Chenha walked in from the outside in a hurry. Seeing that the third round of the test was not over, he went towards his position panting. Seeing Yi Chen's return, the disciples all around showed a startled voice. It recovered so quickly, and this resilience is overbearing. It's just that the wound has recovered and the breath is still weak. Ignoring the surprised sounds around him, Yi Chen wiped his sweat and returned to his seat. However, as soon as he sat down, he saw the strange eyes beside him. The drunk young man who woke up, stared at a pair of dim and drunk eyes, looked at him up and down, didn't speak, and Yi Chen looked uncomfortable. Boy, do you have real fire? The young man's next sentence made Yi Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew only a few people who knew the secret of true fire, even that Chu Xuaner never knew. He did not expect that the drunken drunk could see through. No, eyeballs twitched, Yi Chen's head shook like a rattle. The young man aired, like nothing, and then stood up staggered, but the next sentence was to die Yi Chenqi's half-death. I'll find someone to give you a test. Nima. Yi Chen hurried forward and dragged the young man back to his original position. He looked drunk and was drunk. In fact, he was not a good bird in his bones. He had a fight with the unbearable Shang. How about letting Wangshi real person test him? He had to drag him back, otherwise his big mouth wouldn't keep the door open, and soon he would know everything about the real fire, which was not what he wanted to see. Look and admit it. I have it. Let's drop it. Then you will do alchemy. The young man's drunkenness dissipated a little, and he blinked and looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen raised an eyebrow and glanced at the youth. It will be a little bit. Can make Erwin Lingdon. You can find Shu Fu in this case. I can't do it. Yi Chen shook her head in a hurry. I'm a half-hanger. It's okay. I have Dan Fang. I'll prepare enough spirit grass for you, and you can just practice to die. The young man held Yi Chen's arm and simply grabbed Yi Chen. For fear of letting Chen carelessly I slipped. Do you have Dan Fang? Yi Chen's eyes brightened when he heard Dan Fang. He is a master of alchemy. For him, Dan Fang is a treasure, but despite this, he still looks at the young man with an unbelieving look. It's unreliable to be drunk. Come here, here you are. As the young man secretly opened the storage bag, for fear of others seeing it. Yi Chen lowered her head and blinked and looked inward. Indeed, she saw a roll of animal skin, which was densely covered with text, and only the 3 characters, Ling Yuandan, could be seen. You do. This is the elixir that nourishes the soul. On the heads of the 2 people, you talked speculatively, but from the outsider's point of view, they were sneaky and did not think about anything good at first glance. In the clouds, the huge sea of Aa Wanbao Pavilion stunned Zhang Laodao, the first sleeper of Qianyang Feng, and motioned him to look down. Lao Dao, what does your disciple Xie Yun and Yi Chen mumble? God knows. Zhang Laodao nodded and closed his eyes again. Boom. On the stage, with a roar, a disciple in Ling Yi Pavilion was knocked over by a disciple from Ling Orchard. By this time, the second round of the outside door was not over. Soon, the third round started. The huge compass had been turned, and then 2 oars of light fell down one after another. It should be said that the 2 oars seemed to have been negotiated, but they went in the same direction. Yi Chen and the young man who were chatting were not very successful. Ouch, I go. Shang Erda saw it all the way and had subconsciously covered his face. People are not as good as the sky. Chi Yu of Lingdange could not help but rub his eyebrows. This Yi Chen's strength is super strong, but this luck is also bad. Huo Teng and they couldn't help but pat their heads. Make evil. The elders of Ling Dang Shu Fu, Ling Qi's Chao Tai Fuk, and Wan Baoj murmured. You're a bad boy. Looking at Chu Zonner again, he could not help lowering his head and rubbing his brows fiercely. Below, Yi Chen and the young man who were talking about Zheng Huan were looking at each other with big eyes and small eyes. What the hell, is it shot while lying down? It's over. Yi Chen's opponent is Xie Yun, who ranks first in the door. Xie Yun, the first true disciple of Tianyang Peak, is a real realm of real value. Yi Chen encountered all stubble today. Listening to the discussion around, still looking at Xie Yun's Yi Chen, he shook the corner of his mouth fiercely. You. Are you Xie Yun? Outside. The first one outside. You do not know. At #I% and #at. Chapter 100. Mystic Legend. Everyone looked at Yi Chen. Don't talk. I want to be quiet. Yi Chen has covered his face with both hands. What evil did Lao Su make in my last life? He was really kicked out of internal injuries, stomach pain, liver pain, pain all over his body, Yin Jipping first, Zhang Hao later, okay. They won't say anything, but Xie Yun, you mother, what happened? Lao Su killed Yin Jipping and Zhang Hao, this he. Mom is going to plant it in your hands. People have come all the way, how come there are so many birds and things about Nima? Outdoor comparison, thousands of people, just me alone. This time he should give up. There was a lot of discussion below. Is it possible that he will defeat Xie Yun once again against the sky? No, Xie Yun is in the realm of the sun. After listening to the discussions around him, Yi Chen scolded himself, thinking that he could not do it even at the peak. let alone even half of his combat power could not be exerted at this moment. Fate, it's all fate. Aside, Xie Yunyu found a cigarette bag from where he was, and he spit deeply under his eyes. His face was serious, and he still remembered to pat Yi Chen's shoulder. Used to it. Go, I don't want to talk to you. A war without suspense naturally has an ending without suspense. In the spotlight, Yi Chen, who has always been sturdy and overbearing, finally raised his hand. He counseled, really counseled, and abstained from voting before he came to power. This also means that he will go to the resurrection competition in order to kill again. Out of the siege. A small episode passed, and Tibi continued. The next battle can be described as hot and climax. They are all elite disciples selected in the first 2 rounds, each of them is extraordinary, and each of them is also responsible for the secret method. However, they are pleased that Dao Xuanzheng said that in the 3rd round of the contest, although there were also 2 scenes where the 2 strong men met, none of the top 10 disciples at the outside door were selected at the same time. In the seat, Yi Chen supported his chin with both hands, and watched a fierce battle raging. Because of the **** battle with Zhang Hao and Yin Jiping, it cost him a lot. Even if he swallowed a Wei Zhan Dan, he still could not return to the peak state, but for him, this was enough. I have all the herbs ready. When will we start alchemy? Aside, Xie Yun has rubbed his hands more than once and asked. Withdrawing his eyes from the battle platform, Yi Chen glanced at the goods, and asked with some confusion, why don't you find Elder Shu Fu and Shu to refine the alchemy, and let him practice it? This is it. Xie Yungan gave a cough, and did not forget to glance at Shu Fu in the clouds, and touched the tip of his nose. I'm afraid he'll hit me. Upon hearing that, Yi Chen raised an eyebrow. Looking at this, you haven't stolen his elixir. Blindly, I haven't stolen it. The ghost just believed. Yi Chen glanced at Xie Yun at an angle, then set his gaze on the platform again. At this moment, Qi Yu and a true disciple of Zhang Xuge are confronting each other on the battlefield. This is also a suspenseful matchup. As the first disciple of Lingdan Pavilion, Qi Yu's strength is definitely not covered. This Yi Chen has a deep understanding. Outside the door, except for the top 10 disciples, no one is her opponent. After Qi Yu, Yi Chen saw Shang again, and he was confronted by a true disciple of Jialutang. Although not very optimistic about Shang this duel was a climax of fighting. Shu who had lost all strength and strength, successfully counterattacked, and amace beat the disciple of Jijitang. Off the stage. This little fat man can fight well. Yi Chen felt a little surprised when he touched his chin. After Shang played, the next players were Yi Chen's acquaintances, Tang Rushuan, Qi Hao, Su Xinyue, and Lu Shuaner from the library. After the test, Rao was his eyes shining. Crouching tigers and tigers outside the door made him sigh more than once. There are many disciples who do not seem to be invisible, but they have terrifying strength. However, he saw with his own eyes that a top 10 disciple was repaired by one the disciples beat blood and bones. Outside door, many talents. After several battles, Yi Chen sighed again. During this time, Yi Chen glanced at the clouds more than once, especially when he saw the old faces of Zhe Hong and Qingyang Taoists, and he couldn't express it in his heart. The two were difficult brothers and brothers. Their true disciples were beaten by Yi Chen more than half, especially Qingyang real person. His first disciple Zhang Hao was also defeated by Yi Chen. The true disciples under his seat lost even more. Few losers and losers made it to the finals. As for Zhe Hong, their Di Yangfeng is not much better. The first disciple Zishan just lost, and the true disciples under his seat can only reach the finals. As the two main heads of the 3 main peaks of the outer door, their faces were lost. When Yi Chen looked at them, both of them also cast a vicious look. If it were not Yi Chen, their 2 peaks would not be so passive, and they would not become the laughing stock of the entire Hengyu. You are too arrogant, Yi Chen sneered. Boy, can you give me less trouble? At this moment, a sloppy female voice passed into Yi Chen's ear. When she heard the news, Yi Chengan coughed and couldn't help looking at Shu's honor in the cloud. She was looking at him angrily. I don't want to accept you as an apprentice, and I've got so many enemies. This doesn't blame me. Yi Chen yanked her ears, and a dead pig was not afraid of boiling water. Give me a low profile. Got it. Being warned by his prospective master, Yi Chen became well-formed, and the whole person sat in his seat with a few sighs. Night fell again, and the lighting spirit beads rose again, but the third round of the outside door was still in full swing. This third round of the test was longer than expected. As Dobby kept approaching the end, Yi Chen also got rid of the state of Bubbula. After the third round of the test was over, the resurrection was over, and he didn't want any more nonsense. Hello, have you heard that Zhongyangzong has a mysterious body? Xie Yun, who was silent for a long time, pinched Yi Chen with his fingers. Xuanling's body. Yi Chen's eyes flashed with surprise in hearing this. He was once a member of the Zhongyangzong Information Pavilion. How did he not know the body of this mysterious spirit, which is a physical body favored by God? I heard that it is a branch of the Protoss. There is a mysterious way hidden in the blood. Once awakened, it is a huge treasure. Naturally, the real horror of the mysterious body is not just these, but the person who is in the blood of the mysterious body may be able to move the power of the heavens and the earth, but that is only a privilege possessed by the empty realm. He once saw a secret in the archives of the Intelligence Pavilion. 2,000 years ago, Dachu appeared a mysterious body. He practiced the spiritual realm to cut a quasi-sky realm and shocked Dachu. Yi Chen didn't think of it. After 2,000 years, Dachu once again found the body of the mysterious spirit, and he was still in his old family, Zhengyang. I heard it seems to be Jining Shuang. This name, I have never heard of it before. Yi Chen meditated, and Xie Yun said something indifferently. Jining Shuang.